Okay. Hello, happy Saturday night, my fellow nerds. Let's see, Fusion, hello. Today we built, hello, this is Keith. Hey, Keith. Brian G. Hey, Paul. Finally got my Tronxy X5ST working to perfection. Perfection. Wow, that's a pretty tall claim. I've been burnt on that claim before, so I hope you fare better than I have. Let's see, the Deadpool model is showing Uncle Jesse. Oh, really? Good. That's a heck of a print. JDC AMC, what's up? Matt Johnson, hello. I was originally going to do something on Friday night, but I clobbered myself at the gym, and I sat down after making myself a bite to eat, and that was all she wrote. It was basically, nope, sorry, ain't got the energy to do this. And then today, I was doing a little bit of flying on DCS. Just finished doing about an hour and a half of that. Did the gym earlier today. Definitely feeling ab day. I felt good after I left the gym. But in the last hour or so, when I've gone to go up and down the stairs, the abs are definitely revolting. So I'm trying to get the six-pack abs someday. They're currently covered under a fine mesh of frosty foamies over the years that have coated them. So the chirping you hear in the background is the Ultimaker, and what that is printing, well, I know Keith will know. Keith and I have been exchanging a few emails because we want to go back to the FolgerTech FT-i3 build. That is using the, I guess that's an MK8 extruder setup. But the only drawback to that build was it's a large-scale i3 Prusa, version. I'm trying to find the right words here to use. And the only kick with that thing is that the print head is huge, and while it does print, it doesn't have a part cooling fan, and it just, they did such a great job with that printer. Building was fun, wiring it up wasn't bad, but to sell a printer in the year 2018, 19, whatever, without a part cooling fan, to me is just, it's a real kick in the kahooies. The other thing that I have wanted to point out, actually the Ultimaker, I'll show you what it's doing here. I'll log into the webcam here so you can see, or actually I can probably get the other Logicam over here, over there, so it will do it. Yeah, that's, and that's just it. My abs are hiding behind a few layers of chocolate. Yeah, no, this is all DiGiorno, Dorito, and probably Guinness. I have a weakness for Guinness. Matter of fact, a lot of times, sometimes on web forums you can say where you're from, and every now and then you can even give like GPS coordinates. So my GPS coordinates are the Guinness Brewery in Dublin, Ireland. So people find that funny. But no, like I said, I mean, when even CR-10s and Tevo Tornadoes, and even the Zil Tech comes with a part cooling fan, you may notice something new on the desk over here. Had a little extra money after payday, and so decided it was time to upgrade some equipment over here. I wanted to get a Blue Yeti or one of those other microphones, but they're a bit more money than I can afford right now. What can I say? It's after the holidays, the credit card bill showed up, and my shopping list had to go on pause and take care of that. Before I go there, though, let me first of all say hello. My name is Paul. Welcome to Where Nerdy is Cool. And yeah, this is my channel. We talk about 3D printing, technology, movie props, you name it. As you'll notice, if you follow along in here, we do go off the rails quite a bit. So hang on for the ride. In the description down below, if you want to help me out and help the channel out, you can donate. There's a PayPal link there. There's also a Stream one. Basically, that helps me out, and it helps the great big part list of things I have to replace on these printers come down a little bit. So I appreciate whatever generosity you want to throw my way. But yeah, so Caleb was always giving me a hard time about the focus not working on these cameras. And I'm picking on Caleb because he picks on me, so I know he can take it. So what I did is I purchased one of these 1080p Logitech, I think it's a C922 Pro. And what I'll do is I'll kick it over here, and you can see that, look at that, we have focus. And just to show it off a little bit, let me tip this down. And remember, we did the Easy Struder here the other day, and I want to show you some of the results that we're getting here with it. And let me move this over here so it's actually good and shiny. And oh, come on, you're supposed to look at the focus. Is that a nice benchy or what? There's no under extrusion anywhere in that print. There's probably a spot or two here where the Simplify3D profile could be tweaked a little bit, but I would definitely call that one heck of an awesome benchy. I mean, even the bottom looks fantastic. And isn't the camera doing a great job? What can I say? I spent $100, and then this was the one I left you with the other night, and this Hello Kitty, I'm sorry, the Good Luck Kitty rather, came out very well. Matter of fact, you can see the spot where the Z seam is. It's not terrible. I've almost gotten rid of it, but it came out really good. This is using the Zil Tech silver filament. I'm trying very hard not to say ZYL Tech, but it's Zil Tech. A couple of you guys in the chat buffer last time were trying to explain to me in text very phonetically how to say it. So the sound is also, this has a built-in HD microphone, so we're using that for the sound. So please let me know what you think of the video quality of that, and also if the audio is coming through, if you think it's better than last time, let me know as well too. So what I'm working on is, Keith had sent me an email and told me that all of you guys suck and I'm the best channel on YouTube. No, I may have embellished that a little bit. But what he did is he sent me a link to some of his favorite i3 Prusa extruders, and gave me a couple of good ideas. And what we're trying to find is we want to put a Titan arrow. Do I have enough cord? I don't have enough cord. No. We'll have to settle for whatever the Octoprint camera is over there. But so what's being printed right now is it's going to replace the X carriage, which is on the FolgerTech i3 right now. It should be a matter of just unsnapping, snipping those wire ties. Oh, I can't speak tonight. The nylon straps. There we go. Zip ties. That's what I'm thinking. Zip ties. So once we clip those, we should be able to take off that current X carriage and replace it with this one. The one that Keith found, and again, Keith, you're getting a lot of credit today. You're going to be like a part owner of this channel. So there you go. But the one that he found, it will take a Titan arrow, and it also has room for a auto bed leveling probe and a fan. So that looks like it has really good potential. Something else I discovered today, I don't know how many of you guys use Cura or Simplify3D, whatever, but I installed Cura on this new laptop, well, 1-month-old laptop, whatever, and I discovered that when you look at Cura for the first time on this, actually let me load it up because it's kind of hilarious. So if you guys run into this, or if you know someone this happens to, you can be the smartest person in the room and say, oh, wait a minute, I've seen that before. Because I could open models, but I couldn't get the layer view to work. And by default, when Cura fires up, it has a few default settings that are different than what I recall being default settings. So Cura is firing up here. I will move this over to my second monitor and share that view with you in just a moment here. And unfortunately, Cura, even though it was slow on my other computer, even though this computer is one of the fastest ones you can currently buy right now, it is also slow there. So let's go to this screen here. So what was happening, I don't want to share my data with you, stop asking. So let me just grab a data file real quick, grab anything, we'll grab that, okay. So I got the model here, okay, and so I want to go into layer view. Where's my little slider that shows the layer view? What's going on here? What happened? This always used to be here. Well, that's because they have set that slicing is not set to automatic anymore. If I click on prepare, then it's going to go ahead and slice, and then it gives me this. Then I can go up and down and find out what's going on, or I can even play through it. So, and what this boils down to is, I think somewhere here in the preferences, there was somewhere here where I think there's automatic slicing. It's either turned off here, right here. So by default, it's not going to automatically slice like it always has. Don't know exactly when they made that change. I don't recall, but for those of us that have been using Cura since we got into 3D printing, I've been using Cura for, I guess, going on 5 years now. This really threw me for a loop. I was like, where is this? What happened? To its credit, I mean, it does run super nice on this computer, I would hope. So I don't have the lags I used to have when I used to go back and up and down through here. So there you go. So that right there, you can say that if you run into this, or you know someone that runs into it, or on the various Facebook groups that you guys frequent, if someone says, what the hell, I can't see the layer view on Cura, there you go. Make sure you slice it first. So I kind of felt dumb asking the question on the Ultimaker forum, but it was one of those things where sometimes it's easier to hold your hat and ask for help versus get frustrated and go nowhere. Do I like the combing feature in Cura? Cura has a lot of strengths, and what I don't like is I don't like the way the menus are set up. I don't like where you have to go into and find checkboxes to turn on various features. I like the way Simplify3D shows you everything. This tab, this tab, this tab, this tab. I mean, for those of you got, well, let me just give a demonstration here real quick. Simplify3D. It took me a while to like Simplify3D, actually. I was using Cura from the get-go, and it did take me a while to warm up and like this. So this I just printed on the G-Tech. I've been having problems with, and I'll show you that later. But what I like is when you go into Simplify3D, all of your settings are right here. You go under the various tabs, and there they are. I don't like the hunting game you have to play under Cura. I don't like the way that's laid out. Now, Cura does do a lot of things very, very well. I find with a lot of my prints that I do on Cura on the Ultimaker, I don't have any seams. The only problem I've had with Cura is that, how do I put it nicely? The Ultimaker is a wonderful printer, Cura is wonderful software, but I always have to use Z-Hop, which is why you're hearing the noises you're hearing in the background. Because for whatever reason, it's notorious that it likes to rub the print, and depending on the print, it could knock it over, or it could just wind up leaving blobs. So if I do the Z-Hop, it works beautifully. Unfortunately, some filaments don't like a Z-Hop, like PETG, which is already stringy, and adding Z-Hop just makes it even more stringy. So every software has their pros and cons. Yeah, I saw Cura 4.0 beta, and I tried it, and I'm noticing it wastes a lot of real estate. And I noticed in the discussion groups, I hadn't seen where they had posted a release notes on their blog like they usually do. You had to go on the forum to find out what they've been doing. But 4 is going to be a different look. And again, this is just my opinion. This is not it's a right way or a wrong way, but I just like that, and it took a while for me to warm up to this, but if someone tells me what setting to turn on, I know that if I go to this, I mean, I can find what I'm looking for. Whereas with Cura, it's a whole different story, because a lot of the things in the profiles are locked out. So, but they do make a great package. It is a very powerful slicer. The only problem I have is I've made a couple feature suggestions, and they've kind of fallen on deaf ears. They say they want feedback, and then when you offer them feedback, they say, well, you should go to our website and file, put in a GitHub request. Or I've seen them tell someone else that, well, you should go to our Jira site and make a request. Wait a minute, you just said in your web form that let us know what you think and post it here. So people post there, and then they say, no, don't tell us here, go tell us over there. So make up your mind, Ultimaker. Do you want the help or not? Let me catch up on the chat buffer real quick. Hey, Trolling for Dollars, hello. Now, I'm a big fan of Tom's 3D, and I'm really curious about Slicer. Is it Slick 3R or is it Slicer? Because he calls it Slick 3R, and it stuck into my head. And when I heard other people talk about using Slicer, I'm like, well, what's that? No, it's the same thing. Yeah, Keith, you nailed it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of software packages out there. The Ultimaker, of course, is going to fine-tune Cura for their Ultimaker products, which is good. They've also asked, they've said in the past that, hey, you know, if you have suggestions, so that, for example, you know, we can have profiles made for the CR10 or other printers, you know, they're willing to take that, so that when you go into the machine settings, you know, if you have already provided them with the dimensional settings of the printer, you know, they're happy to carry that. But I've also seen where some people have made suggestions about settings that would be helpful for their particular machines that are not Ultimaker brand, and they didn't seem interested on that. So they're riding a very fine line. They want to support the software, and they certainly want to benefit their Ultimaker and the general community. But they're also saying very clearly that, you know, we're Ultimaker, you know, we're not just Cura. So it's interesting. So let me show you what I've been battling with the G-Tech. The G-Tech, I think I've got the bed leveling just about down, but the problem I'm having, as a matter of fact, so that's what I printed a little while ago, and I was a little concerned about the first layer print, and here's, so the bottom came out fantastic. As soon as the focus picks up on this, it's going to be awesome, honest. Okay. So that looks really, really good on that first layer. The problem becomes on the top layer. Now I don't know if I should just be using more. See how we're not even coming anywhere near the edges? So I was looking at settings like outline overlap and a few other things. I thought maybe I didn't have enough layers or something, but something's up and I don't know what it is. And let me show you, for those of you guys that are also into Simplify3D, I've gone into, this is what I suspected would be one of the settings I would want to up. I don't like upping this one a whole lot because I know the Cura uses only 10% and it does a really good job. The other setting I was suspicious of was under Advanced and the Allow Perimeter Overlap, so I thought maybe that was one. But this is the Simplify3D profile that Simplify3D gave me for the G-Tech A10. They were cool. Like I mentioned a couple episodes back here where they said on the website they had a profile made for the G-Tech A10, but when I went looking for it, I didn't see it in the program at all. So I messaged them and they said, no, our bad, here we go. And they sent me a zip file and they said, let us know. And I've given them some feedback, so maybe I'll send them a photo of this and say, hey, look, this is what I'm getting from the default profile you provided. What do you suggest? And to their credit, they've been really, really great about responding. And of course, you know, a lot of people, you know, want to look at the Simplify3D profile and pluck the settings from that into their slicer. I asked them, I said, hey, look, thank you for the zip file, the FFF file that has all the settings. Is it okay to share this? And they said, we appreciate you asking, but we'd rather you not, because otherwise they have no incentive to buy our software. Okay, gotcha, makes sense. So I've been trying very hard to play by their rules, and I don't want to burn any bridges because they've been super helpful to me. That's right, I mentioned so like I said, if any of you Simplify3D gurus have any ideas as to what I could do to fix this top layer, other than that, the G-Tech A10 has been behaving very nicely. I have redone the Z offset on that printer multiple times. I think I had the nozzle a little too close, and it's taking some trial and error. The one thing I'll suggest is if any of you guys are messing with BL touches and stuff like that, definitely heat the bed up and let it heat up for a good couple minutes, and then start doing your measuring your Z offsets and stuff like that, because that makes a big difference. So what I want to do next, let me get into the Ultimaker, and I can show you what is currently cooking right there. See if I have the right IP address here for it. And I meant to check this out as well too. there I am. Okay, this is the Ultimaker 2, and let's go ahead and share that view. So that right there, let's see, as you can see, I have all kinds of update notices here. I'm not connected to the Ultimaker 2 right now. I'm using the SD card. But that is going to be a bracket. This is going to, actually it looks like it's doing it on its back as I recall. But what this is going to do, you can't dance to it. Yeah, I know. You know, to me it's background noise. I don't even notice it. And fortunately, I don't hear it from upstairs. The Ultimaker original I had being a wooden printer, that printer would howl just because of the noise of the steppers, the stepper drivers, and what have you. But yeah, this thing's coming along nicely. This is going to be an extruder mount for the Titan Aero that we want to put on the i3 Mega, and it'll have room for the auto bed level. And then the next thing I have to figure out is the fans. Now, with a lot of these fans, like, let's see. See, the catch is with some of these fans is we have a lot of these 50-15 fans, okay? And there's only 2 wires. They're either off or on. And the kicker with these is that because this is a 12-volt fan right here, they're either on all the time or off. Whereas the other fans that I have, I believe this one is the same way. It looks like I got 3 wires going into that, and the Ultimaker and others, they're PWM controlled. So that means you can control the speed on them, so that they can print 40% power, 50% power, whatever. Whereas these guys are either all the way on or all the way off, and depending on your fan, the cubic feet per minute, whatever airflow could be too much, and I just wonder if it's going to be how delicate this is going to be for some of the prints. Because I have seen on one of the fan designs I had for my FT-5, the fan was so powerful it was literally cooling off the bed. I could always see the bed going to 62, then 59, 62, 59. So it was fighting it. And the same thing happened to the nozzle as well, until I put a silicone sock on there, and that seemed to help as well. So I am for the i3 Mega upgrade, I'm debating what kind of fan to use, because ideally I want to find one that I can control the speed, because different materials require different speed fans. PETG doesn't require a lot of fan, but a little bit certainly helps. Yeah, the fan. Yeah, the model that you showed me does look like it has a few delicate areas to print, but so that's part of that discussion on the i3 Mega. As we, right now we're just working on getting something that we can attach the Titan Aero to. As far as the part cooling fan, I definitely want to find some sort of setup, maybe a Noctura, but it definitely needs to be one that has a control built in, so that we can control the rate of air, going, to the part cooling. So, but yeah, that's like I said. So we got a new camera. Like you said, the printers have been cooperating, and so far this EZR Struder here that SeeMeCNC makes has been working pretty well. Well, let's see. Let's look at the chat buffer. Looks like you found something. Can anyone tell me why my part cooling fan doesn't stay on? Is that part of the G code? It could be. The fact that the fan turns on at one point and then doesn't stay on is interesting. Brian, which printer do you have? I don't recall off the top of my head. Huh, is it making any vibrations, or do you have any bad bearings in the thing, or is it just, it's, because it could be usually, for example, let me pull up my Simplify3D profile here real quick, and let me show you what I have for my cooling. Not that it matters a whole lot on this printer, but let me show you on the, That's not the one that really shows the example I wanted to show you here. Okay, let me go over here. So, for example, this right here is on my CR-10S. This is using the filament frenzy profile. And he has the fan set, you know, the first layer, the fan is off. On layer 2, it's only at 40% power. Then as we get to layer 3, we're at 75. So and as you can see, then 100. So we're slowly cranking up the full power on the part cooling fan. So it sounds, you know, you could just have a bad connector, but the fact that it's working the not, then working the not, I'd be curious. Oh, the cat found some cat toys. We're gonna have some background noise. Yeehaw. See, this is why I like doing these. You know, someone asks a question and there's a bunch of guys in the background that can say, well, and see, we do a lot of self-help in this channel. Oh, that's right. So you get the Tronxy. When is a Tronxy? Yeah, I should load that up. I should be nosy and look and see what you got. Because who knows? Maybe I want one too. Let's see, Tron XY. Is that the Core XY? And you're doing PLA. Okay, so let me share with the audience. Wait, so this seems to be what you got. So you got the monster 500 by 500 by 600, correct? That's an interesting, let's take a look. Boy, look at all those belts. Those belts must have taken, oh, do I have the wrong model? .330 by 330 by... Come back, X series. Okay, you said yours was X5ST. Is it this blue guy? 400 by 400 by 400? Basically saying, okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, let's look at the buffer and see what other people say here real quick. Because there's something else I want to share with you guys. Yeah, as far as the fans going off or on, that's interesting. Yeah, because my first thought would be the connection. Keith, you mentioned the MKS board on that printer can provide less than 100% power to fan and heater pins. Yeah, so that's what I wonder. And this is an MKS controlled one as well too, and the FT-5 is the same story. So I would, again, like I said, something popped in my head about PWM control. I noticed a lot of these fans had, you know, it looks like this fan, I can't tell if it has 2 or 3. No, maybe just 2 after all. Yeah, this is a blue and a yellow. So, and they seem to be able to control the power. Dun, dun, 16 pounds of ABS on the way. Wow. So, slight topic change here, and let's see, we're 30 minutes in, we got like 9 viewers. I try to do this every half hour. Someone told me it was good that I do that. So, hello, welcome to, well, Saturday night chat. Usually we do this on Friday, but I was lazy yesterday. I'm Paul, welcome to my channel. If you're not a subscriber already, please become one. Hit the button, and if you haven't already given me a thumbs up, please do so. So, 2 wire fans, okay, very good. I'm scrolling through the chat buffer here, I want to keep up. So I have a question for the group, and I sort of know the answer because I already asked it, but we do a lot here with Octoprint servers, and I saw a couple people mentioning that when they print really fast on Octoprint, they have a lot of issues. They have a lot of artifacts, they have a lot of blobs and divots, And other people have said, oh, no, I print 80 millimeters a second. I have no issue whatsoever. Myself, I always print slow. I would rather print once and get it right at 40 millimeters a second versus try to push my printer to 80 or 90 millimeters a second and have a crappy print and have to do it all over again. So I asked this question over here, the ongoing USB conspiracy theory, because I wanted to know, and I actually posted this and I got a tremendous amount of response on this topic. And I will post this link if you guys are interested in reading this. I don't know if this will show up if I cut and paste it over here, but I'll definitely add it, or again, you guys can see it up here and you can probably search USB conspiracy. But let me tell you what I've learned, and it's quite fascinating. So there's a lot of companies that do not offer, some of the software doesn't offer printing from USB. And the reasons for that is, as I've learned, it's not a problem with the computer and the USB ports sometimes hibernating, because that is an issue. I have seen where people have Windows PCs that if the PC goes into hibernation, it will hibernate the USB port, and if your printer is trying to print, well, it has no more data because the USB port shut down. So that's one part of it. The big aspect of this whole issue is it depends on what version of the 2560, whether you got an MKS board or whether you have the Creality board or whatever. But whatever Arduino Mega chipset is on there, because the crux of the issue is whatever is the RS-232 or the UART controller, is how fast whatever is on that board, how fast can that go? How fast can it transfer data coming from the USB port across that chipset and then out to the printer? So if people were blaming, a lot of people were telling me that, well, you might not have a shielded cable. You needed a cable with a ferrite cord, or you need to have a faster Octoprint server. It could be the fact that Pi 0 doesn't work, or all these other issues. But it turns out that the problem is right inside the box of your 3D printer. It depends on the chipset, on how fast that's, hey Minnesota maker, on how that is working. And what was really great is in that link, and there's also, I keep on clicking the wrong thing, sorry, this guy has done a great video here as well, where he prints at 40 millimeters a second and then he prints at 75 millimeters a second. And once he went past 50 millimeters a second, he started to get all kinds of blobbings when he was printing a simple cylinder. So, and like I said, this is just not a matter of, what your PC is or whatever. We're talking about going from the Octoprint server, into the electronics box of your printer. So the secret seems to be that if you're going to be using these Octoprint servers and, the USB port to connect to them, there are two possibilities of what you can do. You can print it slower, or from Octoprint, what you can do is you can copy it to the SD card. That is an extremely slow process, because the protocol that it uses to copy from the Octoprint memory to the SD card inside the printer is it has to block check everything as it goes. I guess it does the CRC check on every step of the way. So, if you're talking about something as little as a Benchy, you're looking at probably, I think the one I did was like 9 or 10 minutes just to copy it to the SD card. So, an awesome discussion was there. Let me see if I can hang on real quick here. Let me move this to the other computer here, and I will share this with you. Okay, let me pull up that link real quick. And if I do it through here, I can share this with you. Because I know a lot of you guys are into Octoprint like I am, and like I said, I started this question, I think I asked it last Sunday, and I was expecting maybe 1 or 2 people to to quickly shut me down or something like that, but it turned into a very, how web forums are, you ask a question and suddenly it turns into a big, I know more than you, and a contest like that. But it's a very well thought out discussion. I learned a lot from it, and I know some of you guys are way more technical than I am, so I thought I would share that with you, because as the answers have been popping across all week long, it's really, really cool. So ideally, in a perfect world, one of the things that I do it with my Ultimaker a whole lot, and I think someone else just mentioned the same thing, is I still, through Cura and Simplify3D, I will copy them to the SD card, and then I will carry them to the printer, and I can load them that way, and I can still, through Octoprint, I can still access the camera and I can see what's going on. Now, of course, the caveat to this, the con side of this is that, if Octoprint is driving the print, and if I'm away from the house and I have Octoprint anywhere running, if I see the print is having issues, then I can, by remote control, I can stop or halt the print or whatever. Whereas, if the SD card is running the show, all I can do is watch the spaghetti monster grow. I know more about useless facts than you. That's all right, no problem. You can have that title. I won't fight you for it. So I guess on that topic, that is a one to grow on. The next thing I was going to, I was actually going to table this. I was going to get this off the bench, or off the table rather, and put this back in its humble little spot. I want to let the CR-10S with the EZR Struder from SeeMeCNC, I want that to do a few more test prints before I say that this extruder is a winner. So far, like I said, and I got a couple other prints on it. Well, they're only on the table, actually. I've done about 5 prints on this thing, and so far I haven't had any under extrusion to deal with. I also haven't removed this filament, so the next step is going to be seeing how hard it is to unload and load new filament into it, because we did have some struggles loading this filament in. So I'm going to try some different filaments, do some more prints, and see if we have any extrusion issues, and if we don't, well, fine, I'll call it good. But I mentioned last week I still had my eye on the BondTech. The BondTech, they make the best extruder out there right now. It's a $90 extruder, and so I reached out to them, and because of course they have their Facebook page where they say contact us at this email address, and I let them know. I said, hey, I got a little YouTube channel here, and we've been trying out some different extruders on the CR-10S. Is there any chance that you could provide me with one, or could you give me a discount on one, because we would be reviewing it and testing it out online for all to see, and we'd love to have one. And as commonly happens with me, I haven't heard a thing. So, because I do have, of course, the Tevo Tornado has a Titan extruder on it, so that can stay. But the CR-10 in the corner, that could certainly use an extruder upgrade. So if BondTech is generous enough at either offering a discount or providing us with one, it would be awesome to compare those side by side, with the EZR extruder and the BondTech, and see how they both fare. Because I like stuff like that. I want to see the technology at work. I want to see it all happen. And someone else asked, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, someone had private messaged me on Facebook and asked me, so where's the FT-6? I haven't heard back from John Folger, and I know the latest I've seen on their Facebook is they are desperately trying to get caught up on shipping. And I know that their documentation is still very much a work in progress. I know there's a few of those printers have been delivered. I've seen some really nice videos and photos of these printers coming together. I haven't seen a whole lot of prints coming off of them. I've seen some test prints, some very big prints being printed. But I think right now the FT-6 is still brand new to the wild, and they're still getting caught up to meet demand. Yeah, where's Shane? I watch his stuff every now and then. There's something about him I can only take in small doses. I can't put my finger on it. Get the BMG. Yeah, Shane had has had a couple of nice printers. He had the FT-5, and that's the other thing too. The FT-5, I need a couple more parts for that. I need to get the silicone heated mat. I'm sorry. I try to make a point of picking up all the cat toys before I do a video, and Theodore has apparently found one. Sorry. I don't know where Shane is. I don't know if he's I thought he was overseas, but I can't remember where. You know, like a lot of, we all have our favorite YouTube channels and stuff like that, and I'll share with you. He kind of rubbed me wrong, and I'll explain what I mean by that. And like I said, it's not anything personal or whatever, but I mean, I'm sure you guys all have various YouTube channels, maybe even mine. Maybe some of the things I do drive you guys crazy, but I remember when he was first getting over 1,000 subscribers or whatever, and he was very active in the FolgerTech group because we were all building our FT-5s. And a couple of his videos, he was really being very demanding about, hey, you need to subscribe. I want to get more of this. And it's one thing to say, hey, please subscribe. It's one thing when you're like, you guys need to get on my channel and help me out and blah, blah, blah. That turns me off more than anything. You know, you can't browbeat someone into watching your stuff. Better to be overseas than underseas. Very good. Yeah, you just said that. That reminds me. I want to see Aquaman. That movie looks fantastic. I haven't heard anyone complain about it. Subscriber gold fever. I've heard that term before. Like I said, the thing with YouTube, I really enjoy it. I try to have fun with it. I try to post. I try to do fun stuff. I like to do these fun live streams. I try to keep clear of the drama. But if you know me personally, like I said, like some of you do, I don't have much of a filter. I really struggle with it. The whole political correctness and stuff like that. I work at a public institution, so I remain silent a lot. I roll my eyes a lot, but I try to rein myself in over there. But when it comes to, you know, the 3D printing and my hobbies, and these are my other passions, I tend to be very direct. But there's a lot of people, it's the beginning of the year, you know, they have dreams of giving up their full-time job and doing YouTube or Twitch or whatever full-time, and that's not something I'm dreaming of. I enjoy doing this stuff. I enjoy the video. I get a lot of comments every morning. You know, when I wake up, I got, you know, 4 or 5 messages on my phone from people that have followed my Octoprint tutorials or other tutorials, thanking me or asking additional follow-up questions, and that I enjoy. That's a lot of fun. But Barnacle Nerdgasm was a favorite channel of mine a year or two ago, and then he really got into the whole personal drama, and people say negative things about me, and it really makes me mad. And you know, then he was talking about all of his health ailments, and then his mental health issues, and then he started going on about his, you know, kid having issues, and it's like, I just want to watch your 3D printing videos. I don't need to know this. You know, and then he talked about how he was starting his Twitch stream because he's so depressed he needs a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and I'm just going, oh man, you know, I of course wish these people goodwill, and you know, I like everybody. I wish them well, but man, that's a lot of drama to post. I enjoy debate sometimes. Yeah. Hey, a subscriber. We have the swimming corgi. Robbie, I don't know if you're here watching on the live stream, or if you just happen to find me on the internet and you don't know we're talking about you, but either way, thank you. Awesome sauce. Hey, there you are, Robbie. Welcome aboard. See? Making friends. This is cool. Just watching the chat buffer go through here. Your 15 minutes of fame. Okay, well, hang on here. All right, let's do a time check. It is 10:14 p.m., so Robbie Mack will be the topic for the next 13 minutes. Welcome aboard. You know, it's funny. I was making a list of a couple of the videos that I need to sit down, and I always write a script. I don't read the script. But what I do is, you know, you remember back in college or even in high school, you kind of write an outline, and then you kind of fine tune it so that you kind of know in your head what you want to. Well, this was part of Speech 101 for a lot of us. So that's what I do when it comes to my videos, because I just can't sit there and, you know, read back and forth here, you know, a script and sound natural. That's not how I fly. As a result, there's a lot of outtakes on my videos. But so anyway, I was looking through, and there was a couple topics that I wanted to cover, and Octoprint Anywhere is one that I want to do. Yeah, bullet points. Exactly right. You nailed it. Very good. Yeah, Robbie, what we do is the live streams just kind of happened in the last month or so. I started doing, I was going to do a video series on assembling a particular printer kit that we just completed recently. And a friend of mine said, no, you should just live stream that. This way, along the way, you know, people have questions, or if you have questions, it's an interactive process. And of course, in the future, if anyone else is going to build that printer, they'll have that video on YouTube, and they can just click through the pertinent parts. And as you can see, we go off topic a lot. So they have a, oh, hang on a second. Theodore, where did you get that? Okay. I'm trying to steal the cat toy so I don't have to hear that little bell ringing. Dun, dun, dun. But anyway, yeah, the live streams have been a lot of fun. We just started doing these, and they've been kind of spur of the moment decisions. And I've had a lot of people offer feedback and say, "Hey, that was a lot of fun. You should do that again." So here I am. Hey, what are you doing? I'm here. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, since he wants to be the center of attention, this is my, look at this guy, my 1-year-old chunky monkey of a cat. This is Theodore. He wants desperately to be part of the video here today, so, yes, you stay there. So there. Yeah, he went from kitten to big-ass thug in no time. Yes. All right. You wanted my attention, you have it. See, we got the cameras here. There's about 15 people watching you. Do you feel like you won? Of course not. All right. Shoo. All right. What's up, Woody Cat? Let's see. Yes. True Tech and Keith have both nailed it. There is no such thing as not enough filament. So while we're talking about, that cat is going to be the... If you knock one more thing over, my buddy, you are pow in the kisser. Okay, I was going somewhere with this. Oh, filament. You mentioned carbon fiber. That is a filament that I don't think I would ever buy again. And, well, first of all, if you read the material safety data sheet on that stuff, it's really bad for you. So do make sure it's a well-ventilated room. I have 2 packages of the Color Fab, what do they call it? CFXT something something. And it was a nightmare to print with. My printer had a ruby nozzle, so it didn't get eaten away. But it just... I didn't see any strength, I didn't see any gains, and it was just a bear to make work right. Oh, Caleb, we were talking about you earlier, too. Caleb was making fun of my flying recently. 14 viewers, cool. Hey, let me do a little quick, let me touch base here because I know a couple of you guys just tuned in. So first of all, and I know Caleb is well aware of this because I tagged him in the post. So recently I spent $100. I did a little upgrade here for the channel. And again, you know, it's the holiday season and I was anxious to spend some money on a bunch of upgrades that we're working on here on these printers. Then the credit card bill showed up and that was, you know, let's tackle those first. But despite my economic situation, I spent $100 and got a new camera. So now we have the Logitech 922 WebStream Pro. And what that is with any luck, and now when we do our close-ups, here we go. So the focus is going to work a whole lot better and allow for a much better view because it can lock on there. Come on. We were just saying good things about you. Ta-da! And by the way, this is, again, I know a couple of you guys have been here from the start, but this is one of the test prints from the CR-10S here on the desk. That is sporting the silver PLA from Zil Tech. And that CR-10S is also using the SeeMeCNC EZR Struder. And as you can see, we have no under extrusion whatsoever. It came out beautiful. It did a really good job. So, exactly. So, and then of course, this was the print we started the other night. And again, this camera does a really nice job, you know, picking up that the sheen off that silver. Dun-ta-da. Let's see. I see some comments down below, so let me address them. What temp do you guys print TPU? Oh boy, the only thing I've ever printed even close to TPU is what is that stuff called? Cheetah, Ninja Tech Cheetah. So it's a little bit more solid. I guess it's a higher hardness. Otherwise, nothing else will go through a Bowden. I see a CR10 and an unknown behind you. Well. Well, Robbie, you are really in for it, because over here, this is a G-Tech A10, and it is as close to landfill as you can get of a 3D printer. I really don't have any other nice way of putting it. It's not an Ender 2. An Ender 2 would be nice. I do. So this is a CR-10S. Over on the other side of me, there is a Tevo Tornado, which I have a love-hate relationship with. Excuse me. And then I have an original CR10. That is over here. Maybe I can be nice enough here and use my new camera here to show it to you here. So over there is the original CR10 on the left. You may recognize that lovely blue. And then you can see that outrageous green of the Tevo Tornado. Let's see. Behind me is the Ultimaker Original 2 Plus. And there's that G-Tech, which you thought was something nice, but you've been corrected. And that's the top of my head. Let's see. And then over here we have a very bright light. Sorry. That is the i3 Mega. That is by FolgerTech. And then we have a over here behind the lights. See, there you guys are on camera. And you thought it was something big and fancy. And that's the CR10 enclosure behind it. That's the Spin Master BB-8, currently recharging. And that big orange thing is a FT-5. So if you were counting at home, yes, that equates to about 7 3D printers. And over here behind me, yep, I have a full-fledged Stormtrooper suit, and I have 2 helmets. One was done incorrectly. The one on the left is correct. There's a couple of BB-8 domes that I printed, and then I have all my backup electronics for R2-D2. Those shelving cookie racks is I guess what they call them. I got them at Sears before they closed our local Sears. But yeah, and then the other thing that people kind of comment about is this great big filament wall. And I've had to divide it because the upper shelf is my 2.85, and the lower is my 1.75 millimeter filament. And down here is the cat that is stalking me. When the camera isn't at him, he's staring at me. Da-da-da. So, yeah, this one does a pretty good job. Maybe I'll leave it here for a minute. We'll give the Canon a break and stay here. Now let me see what you guys said. Thinking of doing an R2-D2 project based off what James Bruton did. Any suggestions? Michael Badley is doing a 3D printed one. He's for a donation via his Patreon. You can have the files. That's a massive cat, and he's only a year old. He's only a year old. My R2-D2 is, and if you scroll through my channel, you'll see some other videos where I show some upgrades I've done to it. But my R2 is full aluminum, and I had 2 of them. The second one wound up being mostly spare parts for the first one. My hope was I wanted to, when you build something, you always tell yourself, the next time I do this, I'm going to take all these enhancements and new ideas I've seen and add it to the new one. And that's what I had done. On the second R2-D2, it was way more advanced, and it was very, very well done. I had a lot of nice stuff going in there. But I just, from all the work I do with pediatrics, I built R2-D2 for hospital use. So that's what we do. We do a lot of hospital visits. I don't post them a whole lot because it's a very personal affair between me and the patient. Usually we wind up posting stuff because the press posts it. So I reshare, what the news crews will share. Or sometimes the families will say, hey, we love what you did. We love the video. Can we share it? Can we tag you? Okay. So people find out about me from that. But anyway, so that second R2-D2, I just didn't see myself making use of it. And so I kind of had it for sale, but I wasn't actively pushing it. But I had a computer club, actually, I'm sorry, it was a robotics club in Pittsburgh, reached out to me saying, hey, we understand you have an R2 for sale, and we don't have a problem with the price, we just have a problem getting to you. It turned out that they had an event in New Hampshire, which is 3 hours away from me. And so basically, it's kind of like adoption. If you're gonna, say you got puppies or kittens or whatever, you want those things to go to good homes. So I was a little bit fussy where my R2 would go to. Sounds sappy, doesn't it? So, but it was going to a high school program, and can you imagine the kids walking into the classroom? There's an R2-D2 right there for them. It's not completed. It's on them to finish. So that's where it went. I mean, it wasn't like I made a tremendous amount of money. Basically, I had a spreadsheet of all the money I spent on all the pieces. I said, look, here's what I got into it. And they said, no problem. Where do we send the check? And off we go. So now that second R2-D2 has a new home. Yeah, I sold it a year ago. I still have my original, my first one, which has all the scratches, dings, and dents. Of course, the next thing I would like to get would be a 3D. I would like to 3D print a C-3po. And Gordon Tarpley is working on refining a lot of files to do that, as are others. So I'm kind of waiting and seeing. Chris Lee is working on a robotic C-3po. He's been printing out pieces and making linkages and servos and stuff. So it looks really cool. So as you can see, I'm a fairly nerdy guy. I got my hands in a lot of different hobbies and projects, and it's very easy for the spare hobby money to go places real quick on me. Oh yeah, no, if there's a... I remember you were asking me questions about hinges a while back. If you scroll through my blog, you will see there are a lot of photos there of two R2-D2 side by side. I had two domes and what have you. Actually, I've had a lot of pieces that were on that baker's rack were spare parts I had for the second R2-D2. And rather than take all those with me, when I sold the other one in Pittsburgh, they just wanted the frame, legs, and feet all attached. They didn't care about the skins and stuff like that because it was just too much money for them. So I had all those other accessories. I had all the detail pieces, and so I've been putting those for sale off and on astromech.net. And a lot of guys who are building R2s over there will scoop them right up. So the one thing I'd like to do with my current R2-D2, nope, I don't have CSR. Mine's, if you guys don't know what CSR is, in the R2 building world, we have, up until a couple years ago, we thought we had a complete gist of all the blueprints, all the sizes and everything else. And it turned out we called those legacy. And then a couple years ago, a couple guys that live on the West Coast were given access to the archives with Lucasfilm, and they got access to a couple of the actual R2 units to measure and to actually see how close they were to the actual screen-used R2-D2s. And it turned out there were a couple parts that were taller or wider or different, whatever. So what they did is, I can't remember what they call R, but they have this newer version of R2-D2 based on the measurements they took from the access they were given by Lucasfilm. So for a lot of us guys, we're fine with what we built. But there are some people, they want to have the absolute 100% accuracy, even though the differences are quite minor. If you saw my R2 and if you saw Caleb's R2-D2 side by side, if he's building CSR, you really wouldn't spot much of a difference. You might notice that, one door looks an inch taller or something like that, but really, unless I told you all the details and all the particular pieces about R2-D2s and all the movies, you'd have no idea. Jake from State Farm. That's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Some of the, and like any other hobby, you know, for example, a lot of us are obviously big into our 3D printers. A lot of us are big into our R2D2s. A lot of us are big into our BB-8 building. And there are some people that they're going to make a big deal, you know, about, you know. Jake. What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm? That's great. I'm always fascinated by how clever my viewers are. I had another topic I was going to bring up here, because we were talking about FolgerTech, you know, on his YouTube channel. We were talking about the FT6. So yeah, I don't know. I just I would love to have one. I would love to try one out, and I don't think it's something that I'm going to get for nothing, obviously. But it's really cool that I was contacted by one of the guys who already has his put together, and he sells FT5 build plates and other accessories, and he already has designed upgrades for the FT6. So he offers a different bed and some other stuff, and it's expensive because it's obviously it's a bigger printer, so the add-on pieces are going to be bigger as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Don't know where I'd put it, but you know me, we'll find a place. We got plenty of room in the shop down here. Ha! You guys are great. This is good. Okay, it's top of the hour. Let's see. Well, actually, it's half past the hour, but I'm looking at the live ticker. So I like to do this every couple minutes and say, hello, welcome. My name is Paul. My channel is Where Nerdy is Cool. Big into 3D printing. Obviously, you're seeing R2D2 and BB-8 pieces back here, so definitely big into the movie prop stuff. If you're not a subscriber, hit the button in the corner down there and become one. Well, first of all, for two reasons. You don't want to miss my videos, and a really cool animated pop-up will pop up when you guys do. And see that jar on the lower right-hand corner? If you want to make that jar fill up, there's a link in the description where you can throw me a donation or throw me a tip. I know, I sound like I'm always begging, right? We have parts. Look at all these printers. These printers need parts. Help me out, gentlemen. Yes, yes, on the FT6, that big, gigantic bed moves up and down. Yep. Oh, really? Wow. I know that I've measured it over here, and I believe from what I'm watching on my Streamlabs OBS, and then on my other computer, I have YouTube going, I've got about an 11-second delay. So, but what's been cool is over the, well, 4 weeks ago, this new laptop showed up. Old laptop was an i5, only had 8 gig of RAM, and it really struggled to run the Streamlabs, plus everything else in the background. We were in the lower corner of Streamlabs OBS. It will tell me the missed frames, or drop frames rather, and it'll tell me the how much of the CPU load it's carrying. And it was always carrying between 40 and 50%. Now, with this awesome Lenovo P72 with the Intel i7-8850 processor, we're also running, the video is going through the onboard Quadro P600. This thing's chugging along at 11% CPU. So a nice upgrade. It makes our live streams a lot nicer. I need R2D2 in my life. Minutes, not seconds? Wow. Well, yes. Funny story, you mentioned the VR. I don't know how many of you guys are into the flight sims like Caleb and I are. And if any of you guys have an Oculus Rift, but they've dropped the price on the Oculus Rift. And I want to say right now it's $399. And that tells me one of two things. They're within grasp where I can afford one. My friend has one. He bought it when they were $500. And what's cool about the Oculus Rift is, I mean, you are completely immersed in that aircraft so that when you move around, you can see all the dials and gauges and levers and switches that you need to see. So right now, the price is down on them. So that tells me that, with my luck, if I bought that one, then the new one would come out, which is supposed to be way better. So, but the immersion factor in DCS world and flying those airplanes is just amazing. So I am hoping. You got one for your son for $359? Wow. Where did you get it? Did you get it on Amazon or? Oh, someone said something about HTPLA. High temperature PLA. Ah, that cat. Theodore, what do you want? Alright. You are a beast. Alright, you can stay here, but we're going to be chatting and you got to shut up. Alright. So as you can see, I am ruled by cats over here. HTPLA, you know, the only place I know that has that is Protopasta. And that's a filament that I've never tried out. I've wanted to, but it seemed like their color offerings were a little sparse. Amazon was where you got it, yeah. So the 350 now. Jeez, I still can't afford one, but it's cool. Oh no, I'm busting a finger. Hey Weston, how you doing? My fur kid. Yeah, that's my damn spoiled cat. And this is the 1-year-old, and he is just, I don't know what he weighs. He's probably 11 to 12 pounds there, but he's a big guy. He's all about wanting his head rubbed. He's an odd bird. But what's cool is having all these printers down here, he doesn't bother them, he doesn't care. It's the 2-year-old that she gets up into everything, so that's why the enclosures are very, very important, or having them up high where there's nothing she can get at. Hey, can I put you down so I can read the chat buffer? Actually, one right here. So the next question I have to table is, what printer should I work on next? Right now I'm still, hey, tell you what, I know, I'm the worst guy ever not letting you sit on my lap. Never mind that you have my attention any other time. Red-nosed pit bull. I kind of miss having dog. I do. I had an Australian cattle dog with an ex-girlfriend years ago, and great breed. Yeah, cats are like that. I don't know why. He's been ignoring me all day today. And the minute I'm down here chatting with you guys, he's just all over me. I haven't ordered the Titan yet. Unfortunately, the money isn't there right yet. The fine folks at Discover Card and Visa felt that I should pay them. And actually, I wanted to do that before they contacted me. You know how it is after the holidays. Whoa. Who's talking about a Hypercube from Zil Tech? Do you have one of those? I've wanted one. I find the kits very, very cool. I think it's really, really fun. You know, I have people ask me all the time, you know, geez, what's a good first printer? You know, I got little kids, and you know, they want a 3D print. And I always try to tell them, I said, well, I would first find out, you know, is there like a Hacker Shack or, you know, or Make Place or whatever where you can see one in action and try it out, because I know a lot of people get these printers, and of course they want to get the cheapest one possible, and they have no experience with 3D printing. So they wind up with something like a G-Tech, which works like crap out of the box. So they quickly get frustrated because, well, there's no support for it. And God forbid if you ask for help, the whole world tells you, well, what do you expect for $200? You just have to learn it on your own. No. So anyway, So I try very hard to make sure people have an opportunity to go someplace where they can experience 3D printing without having the ownership of it to deal with. Because I've seen a lot of people buy printers and then, there's only so many, good luck kitties and, benchies they can print before they get bored with it. So, which makes it great for guys like you because, hey, if someone says, I got this printer sitting here, I have no use for it, you can get it for a steal. But this cat is just, what are you doing, buddy? All right, tell you what. There you go. See, you want to meet everybody so badly. There you are. "20 failed prints, yeah. Good for you. Well, you may have seen all the crap we had to go through with. Let me get in the picture here a little bit, so it's not just Theodore. But yeah, as you may have seen in the videos, I mean the A10. I mean, quite honestly, how do I say? I'm trying to find positives here, but quite frankly, right now it baffles me that we are spending the money we're spending on these printers and getting nothing back in any kind of support. It's all Facebook or Facebook groups and stuff like that. And it's just crazy that, these printers, like the printer I got, should have failed quality control. Anyone that powered that printer on and turned the knob would have quickly realized that, hey, the knob's broken. And not to mention, if they did a test print, they'd realize that, there's something really screwed up with the Z-axis because it doesn't move for the first inch and all the prints come out with a giant bulge. And it turned out two things. The Z screw was bent. I'm sorry, the lead screw was bent. And the eccentric nut, the wheel that goes up against that section of the frame, well, thanks, buddy, appreciate that, was too tight. So once that was loosened up and the lead screw was replaced, things worked all right. But we also had to replace the Z coupler. And in order for the Z coupler to fit, we had to actually cut into the machine and make openings and widen. We had to cut metal parts. So it's just not a good experience. People make fun of me for recommending, the Ultimaker printers and stuff like that. They're like, well, how can you recommend a $1,500 printer or a $2,000 printer to people when there are, $200 printers on the market? And it's like, well, when the Ultimaker comes out of the box, it has an SD card and it has a test print, and you unbox it, you load filament, and off you go. And it works. It is calibrated. You don't have to worry about E-steps and stuff like that. You don't want to spend all your free time helping them out. The Prusa is a good printer. I mean, that's $999. Yeah. I've had a pretty good experience with Zil Tech as well. Let's see, the cat found the strings to my sweatshirt. That's awesome. You just purchased a Mark III? Nice. I need another printer. I have always been fascinated by the Prusa printers, and I'd love to have one, and I would love to have the assembled one because they have so many cool features. I mean, them and Ultimaker and a handful of others, they really lead the pack on a lot of the integration we're seeing. Ultimaker did a really good job with having multiple extruders. And they introduced pretty much, the PVA, the dissolvable support material that some other printers are using now. How much did the Mark III cost you? I think did you get the kit or did you get the, yeah, Lapcat, yeah, he's going after the strings to my sweatshirt at the moment. Why are you so into me tonight? Usually you just totally ignore me, but... $1,000? Wow. 850 tax, yeah. Oh, you did the kit. Okay, good. Then you should do some videos and stream your build. I think that'd be great. All right, I'm gonna put you down because there you go. I figured he must be bored of me by now. All right, we'll go to this camera here for a little while. Just want to make sure I haven't missed any. Flash 4 Dreamer, wow. Zil Tech T slot or V slot? I don't remember. You know, that's a good question. Someone else may have the answer, but let me. I had talked to them a while back, and 3D printer and CNC kits. Let's go over here. Theirs is the Hypercube, as I recall. So they got their proc sensors, and then they got the whole kit right here. Yeah, you can go pretty crazy with all this stuff on this one. That was the bigger one. As I recall, look at the storage trooper. I'm sorry, I just missed that. Yes, that's yeah. And then back over here in the corner, I have all the armor. That's what I should do some evening. When I'm gonna do a video here, I should be all suited up. If you like that, you'd really get a kick out of the Batman suit I made. Oh, this is the one that you want? That I just brought up on the page here. I had chatted with them because I had done a review. If you look through my videos, I did a review, or I did an assembly video on their CR10 brackets. Where was that? Maybe it was up over here. This is the reinforcement kit right here. Yeah, and that's what I did a video on this, and it went together really, really nice. Now, whether or not, you know, it doesn't do anything on the back part here. Let me get a bigger picture here. Oh, come on, you're not going to let me have a bigger picture? It doesn't, it only covers the front spot. So I don't know physically, you know, how much it does. CR-10S5, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I did a video on that, and what was cool was, let me go back to this on the camera. When I reached out to them, you know, because the CR10 was brand new back in the day, you know, a year ago, and they gave me a really good discount on that kit. I said, hey, look, I got a small channel, it's not big, but I'd like to do a video on this, and they were like, hey, no problem, you know, not only that, we'll give you a price break, and we'll give you a coupon code. And you can share that with your audience, and that will let us know, you know, how much, you know, people are actually seeing the video. And they got a really, really, really great response. And but you know, with the CR10, just adding a box type frame to the front part, you know, in the world of physics, I don't think that would quite do as much as some of those other bracing kits I've seen. But the point of what I'm saying is that they were really, really cool to work with. Yeah, I would like to get a 500 by 500, you know, size printer as well. There's a lot of projects that I've seen out there where the bigger print volume would be really, really handy. I'm looking at the, is my voice coming in too loud? Let me back off that volume a little bit here. I was really, really tempted to pull a trigger on the CR10S4 or the S5. A couple guys had some real problems, though, getting that bed leveling to work just right. Yeah, and then yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, that'd be a fun build. And what's interesting is I think some of the parts to this kit, you actually, let me go back over there and let's take a look together. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get in together, right? All right, let's go back to their kits. Oh, here we go. This is the Hypercube full. Well, this is a 300 by 300 by 400. I thought there was a bigger one. Well, let's take a look at this. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get in tonight together here. Boy, that doesn't look like the same one we were just looking at, though, was it? But this is the full kit, so it looks like this includes everything. Go black anodized. Assembly required, experienced users only. Okay, so they're trying to weed out a bunch of us guys that are going to try to put this together here. Now, wasn't this the one that was by 500? No, it's about the same. So which one do we want? Do we want the red beast or the other one? Yeah, isn't that great? I haven't done the 3D printing pen. I haven't seen the appeal in that. Someone will have to show me one of those. One of you guys should do a video on that, and 400 by 400. I'm not seeing one. I'm looking in the 3D printer kits, and I'm not seeing any of that is that size. I see the 300 by 300 by 400. At least looking here, anyway, that's the only one I'm seeing. If you guys have spotted something else here, but this would be the one for the full kit. Now it looks like it's using Core XY, right? Okay, no printed parts are included. Oh no, can you guys print these for me? I don't know if I have enough printers. And they have a Zil Tech Hypercube users group. So these guys are cool. So if you see the link here, they're telling people out straight, you know, if you're looking for a first printer, this ain't it, which is good. So there's a lot of parts and pieces. That'd be a fun build to do as a live stream. But what I'm interested in knowing is, you know, this guy's all nice and red and pretty. Boy, look at the that's pretty well reinforced. So you got dual Z over here. Oh, you know what? Is that Core XY? I can't tell from the picture. Yeah, look at all these belts. Yeah, that must be. Buy me one and I'll stream it. Hey, you know, that's been my approach to these manufacturers. Hey. Yeah, you know, I prefer these setups, you know, where I like the print head moving versus the bed moving. I like the bed going up and down only. But yeah, this looks interesting. I don't know. You know what's interesting is, if I say interesting one more time, I am going to barf. In my dealings with them, not only did they offer a coupon code, you know, for people that, you know, bought the extrusions, I want to say the coupon code they offered was for anything. And they did reach out to me a while back, and they said, hey, if you're interested in a Hypercube, we could offer you a really good price for that. Wouldn't be free, but, you know, a really good discount. And maybe I'll follow up with them. Maybe I'll shoot them an email and say, hey, you know, we spoke a while back, and I'm currently not building any printers. Can I have one? Or, you know, what kind of discount? I always say discount first, you know, and if they want to be beyond that as far as generosity, whatever. But, and that's what I ran into. That was one of the first things when I got into I've never had a Prusa style printer before. It's been Ultimaker Original, Ultimaker 2, and then the FT-5, and then when the FT-5 had problems with the bed leveling, we moved to the CR-10s, Tevos, and stuff like that. However, even the Ultimaker, that bed, because of the way that it's set up with the bed, you can see the bed wobbling every now and then. So it's not the most stable. It's definitely better, but I encountered troubles with that motion on the Y back and forth when I started printing out big pieces for BB-8. And I'm convinced that because of the acceleration, jerk, and stuff like that, aggravated the adhesion issues, even though I had hairspray and everything else on the surface. I think when you add momentum, and of course you're printing something as big as a BB-8 dome that has a bit of mass to it, so I think that was why a couple of those prints lifted on me, which sucked. It did it after like 3 days of printing. So since then, other guys have mentioned different acceleration and jerk settings. Well, where is the 500mm Hypercube? I don't see one on the, well, at least I don't see one on Zil Tech's website. New project time. You hear that sound back there? That's the project you gave me, printing off that new X carriage. Actually, I gotta take a peek at that. It's actually almost done. It's hard to see from that side. Oh, Theodore's back. Oh, really? Okay, there are bigger kits on their website. All right, I'll take your word for it here. Let's go over here. So the Ultimaker is still printing. Okay, so I'm looking at Hypercube. 200mm cubic build. 300. Oh, you might be right. Oh, it hurts to say that too. Okay, so this is just the frame kit. Does not come with 3D parts. Hypercube 400 by 400 by 500 dual Z frame kit. Is this the one you're speaking of? Captain America shield in one piece. You guys crack me up. Oh, okay. So we'll be building all of this, and they don't have the rest ready yet. Is that the gist of what you're telling me? Black or aluminum? $349. $30 different. We'll go pretty. Okay, so I can email her back and say, hey, I see your incomplete printer, I want one. Well, you guys will have to keep me on top of this and let me know, because I don't see the electronic part available for this yet. Or is that something the builder has to provide on their own? A couple of thoughts too. I mean, I'm just wondering, would this be something where a what's the other controller board there I keep on hearing about there that has oh god, Phyllis Struder has them all the time. Duet Wi-Fi maybe? Keith, all of these are do-it-yourself. When's the last time you got a reply from Creality or G-Tech? Remember the gentleman that helped us out get the G-Tech working, and he said, hey, I spoke to one of the people at G-Tech, and they're going to send you a new LCD controller. So I followed up with Emma Green, I think her name was, at G-Tech, and she didn't know what I was talking about. So, so there you go. And then when I followed up with her the other day, she goes, I'll get right back to you, and that was 2 days ago. So I don't think G-Tech understands customer service, which I think's kind of moronic, because customer service should just be a worldwide, well-accepted thing. I mean, she lives in China. When she goes to the restaurant and orders noodles and someone says, I'll be right with you, and doesn't come back, is that just cool? Is that just how it is over there? I'm not being sarcastic, really. These are the things that go through my mind. I try to operate on that simple principle of the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Makes life a whole lot easier once you kind of get that out of the way. Yeah, Mr. Butt, is it Butram or Buttram? I don't know how to say that. But yeah, that's become woefully obvious to us as far as the customer service. What? Someone said have a Guinness on me? Woohoo! Thank you, sir. Did that come from Super Chat? Nice. Ding, ding, ding. That'd be a nice upgrade. Actually, I'm not a sellout, honest. I'm not a sellout, but they did give me a free coffee cup. You know, I was bragging about the focus on this thing, and here we go. Ta-da! Through Super Chat. Cool! Unfortunately, with Super Chat, PayPal will take half of that, so I'll probably wind up with an American brew. But that's okay. It's the thought that counts. And what's even more impressive, Brian, is you spelled Guinness correctly. I always have to look it up. Theodore, what you doing? He's a big cat. Free cup and yeah. Usually in the evening, I'll do the decaf coffee. I'm one of those guys. I love coffee. I don't drink a lot of it. I'll drink one in the morning and then maybe a decaf in the evening. I think it's more because I love the French vanilla creamer. And as my friends who are real coffee aficionados are saying, that's not coffee. Well, it seems like coffee to me. Oh, Jacob has his stuff right. Yes, best beer on the planet. Especially if you buy the cans that has that little nitrogen thing in the middle there. I wish I could open the can and find out what the hell that thing is. Martini sounds good. I haven't had a martini in a wicked long time. Yeah, it's like 11 o'clock at night over here. It's Saturday night. Yes, this is what my love life has come down to. I'm doing nerd chat. Oh, and I was looking at the stats. We are, let's see, as a channel, we are 99.2% male. But I just want to point out that we used to be 99.4, so somewhere in there we have a girl or two that watches my videos. So there we go. Kegerator sounds good. It is a nitrogen capsule. Okay. Bootram. Okay. I'm sorry. It sucks I got your name wrong. Well, everyone gets my last name wrong. I mean, my last name is Buskier, and everyone in our family says it differently. There we go. Okay, well, the print is done, so we'll have no more annoying noises in the background, so you'll have to provide your own. We'll let that cool down, and then I will show you the print that Keith had me print. Yes, Keith, I'm blaming you. Slush puppy machine. You know, I saw, there was the things that come across my YouTube feed are remarkable. But remember the Snoopy ice cone machine? Snow cone machine, rather? And that came back out. And they thought that it was going to be a very big nostalgia thing. And it was a bust. Because just like in the 1970s, no one wanted to pay that kind of money to scrape ice cubes and put sugar on top of it and whatever. Shoot, I like that noise. Yeah, that's still pretty hot. So there. So I'm thinking perhaps tomorrow. I'm thinking about getting the, let me go to the wide view here. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm thinking tomorrow, get this guy off the desk, and I'm thinking either one or two things. Either put the FolgerTech i3 Mega back on here and do some more test printing with it. But on the other hand, I don't really want to do a whole lot of printing on that because we're going to mod that real soon. And until we get all the hardware we need, why mess with that? So that leaves me with the Tevo Tornado that's been sitting over there that I've had a terrible time with because the bed leveling screws. And Teaching Tech did a review of the Tevo Tornado and said the same thing that I had said about the Tevo Tornado, the green one. He has the gold one now. But the same problem. When you try to turn the bed knobs, they're really small. And of course, you can 3D print bigger ones and put those on there. But when you turn the knob, it turns the whole screw. The bed on my CR-10, this guy right here, dun, 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 this is a polypropylene sheet. And I got that from Tiny Machines. And I have it on this printer. I have it on the Tevo Tornado. I bought one for the other CR-10, and the FolgerTech has one as well, as does the other FolgerTech. I have had a really great time printing on this. After every print, I wipe it with rubbing alcohol. It's a Mamu robot. Yeah, exactly right, Robbie. You nailed it. Robbie, once again, is the smartest man in the room, well, at least for 15 minutes. So, start the timer now. So yeah, I had tried lock build, and what else have I got? It's basically the same stuff as, of course, it comes with a spare. I still get the spare sheet. The problem with this stuff is that if you print too close, it will never come off the surface. Never, never, never. That was my problem with lock build. If you're doing stuff that has a lot of overhangs, or if it doesn't have a lot of, like for example, a benchy, the benchy sits on here completely. But if you were going to print it, upside down with a lot of support or something stupid like that, that's when these guys work great. But when you're printing BB-8 domes and BB-8 pieces, which almost all of that surface is taken up, getting the print off of there, I was literally peeling off the first layers of my print trying to separate them. And then I would go and I would put them in the freezer, because what's more natural for 3D printing? You spent all this time carefully managing temperature, and now you got to take the build plate and put it in the freezer and hope that that pops off the print. Ridiculous. So anyway, long rant short, I don't make any money from any referrals to Tiny Machine, and I'm happy to support someone who's a small business owner, but I've had really good luck with these Mamu robots. What are you doing, buddy? I don't know why. And here's what's going to happen. When we wrap up the video tonight, that cat will want nothing to do with me. But just because I'm on camera, he wants me. Yeah, lock build was... I can't remember who makes that stuff. It just was terrible. Actually, I think it's one of my first reviews I did on my channel. I did it about 1.5 years ago. Yes, Tiny Machines. Yeah, I bought my CR-10S from Printed Solid, and they were doing the same thing as Tiny Machines. They, of course, would buy them and they would unbox them and they would set them up and do some test prints with them. They would calibrate them and make sure all was working. The big issue with this one is they replaced the Z coupler. There was also the capacitor issue that they took care of that in the electronics box. And let's see how this is doing. That doesn't want to come off, so I'm not going to make it. Magigoo, yeah, I'm still using hairspray. Magnetic flex plates are the next big thing. Yeah, those are cool. Yeah, well, that's the thing, obviously they're in business, they got to make money to stay in business, so just depends on what you're going to do. And I know Print of Solid went back and forth with Creality as far as the whole being, you know, open source or not being open source. They carried them, and then when they wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't unlock the firmware, then they weren't selling them, and then when Creality changed their tune, then they were happy and they were, you know, they were selling them again. So whether they are now or not, I'm not sure. The big secret, the only thing I will point out with this build surface is that it is, if you scratch it, that can be a little tough on it, and it doesn't take much to scratch this because you're so used to using the scraper, and in most cases you really don't have to. See, look at that, this camera's doing a really nice job. But yeah, on mine, you can see in the reflections here, you know, there's a few scratches in there for me being a little aggressive, but usually after every print I take the rubbing alcohol and I take a move this so it's directly at me here. Rather than just using a paper towel, I'm actually using actual cotton cloth or microfiber. Actually, would probably be even better. Yeah, I was just gonna think, you know, I shouldn't jinx myself with how well this camera is working, right? So there we go. I'll kick back to the Canon just for that. That was a popular approach in the FT-5 group because we all had such trouble with the melamine pressure board bed surfaces, and a lot of guys were getting the I can't say the name right, borsilite glass, and even that was having issues. A lot of CR10 guys, especially you guys that had the S4 and S5, the glass that came with those were just a mess. So a lot of people were suggesting, hey, you know, go with mirror because mirror has to be super flat, you know, otherwise the reflection is going to be, you know, wiggly or whatever. Not sure how the back of the glass, how flat that is, but anyway, so that was kind of the buzzword for a lot of people was, you know, go get a mirror tile. You can buy a box full of them, 12-inch by 12-inch, you know, from Lowe's or Home Depot. Boros Hilo Kit. Thank you. I am learning how to speak thanks to my YouTube channel. This is great. But I did use the mirror for quite some time on my CR10, and it was okay, but it was a real bugger if you were trying to, and I removed it when I found out about this stuff, but I found one of the biggest issues with the mirror is when you're doing bed leveling, the reflection would really throw you off. Yeah, I've seen a lot where people have the glass plates that are bowed in the middle. The Tevo, I don't know if this one came with it, but the new Tevo Tornado, the gold model, that's using the glass ceramic. That's supposed to be like the same stuff they use on glass top stoves. Yeah, I haven't used Tim's TH3D mat. You know, Tim has had no luck with the Mimo robot. We were having a phone conversation one day, and he's like, "I can't believe you used that. I've had no luck with it. Nothing would stick to it." And I told him, I said, "Well, Tim, I've had the opposite luck. You go, well, you know, let me send you one of my easy mats. You can try that." And I said, "No, I appreciate the offer. I got something that works, and I'm gonna stick to that." It worked on the first two printers, and I've added it to the other two. So. I don't know what you're doing wrong. Just make sure you clean it thoroughly. I've heard of people doing that, sanding glass or something like that. Yeah. The EZ-ABL is, I'm not going to say it's a hard kit to install, but you got to be very detail oriented. And I've seen a lot of people have commented on the tutorial video that I made, and most of the comments have been very, very positive. I got one today where the guy was like, "I was with you until you got into the computer crap." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you." Yeah, you know, if you don't know how to connect to the computer and stuff like that, I I even made a video telling you how to plug in the USB port, to your computer. Yeah, I never had a Tronxy. That's interesting. Yeah, you make a good point, Robbie. That could be one of those issues where, if a bad batch goes out, I mean, that's happened to ZYL. See, there I go again. Zil Tech. They had a batch of PLA that I guess was a real mess, and a lot of people contacted them and said, I don't know what happened to this batch of filament, but it sucks. And they made some changes, and since then they've been great. Yeah, if you have one of those powder coated beds on your Prusa machine, those are quite something. Yeah, the steel spring that's currently the new one that I keep seeing sounds really good. Well, Jake from State Farm, you make a great point, and I think what happens is we're of such a mindset that we know we can buy these printers for $500 or whatever as cheap as possible, but we also know that we know when we get them, we're probably going to have to replace the hot end. We're probably going to have to replace the extruder. We know the bed's going to suck. So in our mind, we've already told ourselves we're going to do these upgrades. We can get by with what we have, but we know we're going to have to upgrade. But if you're brand new into 3D printing and this is your first printer, the notion that, what comes out of the box isn't going to work properly is just, what? What do you mean? But we're just, for whatever reason, we've been dealing with these Chinese printers for the last 2 years. We are just so used to realizing that, yeah, we're paying for the aluminum and the electronic box and everything else. We're getting all that cheap, but, depending on what you buy, well, you may have problems with drivers. You may have salmon skin on all your prints. So, you got to replace the motherboard. You got to replace the drivers. You got to upgrade the firmware. For this audience, that's kind of fun stuff that we enjoy doing. But if you're a young adult here and you're seeing all these 3D prints and go, I want one, I want one, I want one, and and the first thing we're telling them is like, yeah, you got to take it apart and put new parts on it. That's going to scare the hell out of them. Yeah, TH3D is in the middle of his move right now. I guess he's supposed to be starting shipping today, so I bought some stuff from him, and I don't know when I'll see that stuff. Yeah, Tim's done good. He's like I said, my hat's off to him. He came up with a clever auto bed leveling device. Supports it very, very well. Has added support for it to other printers, and and that's just smart on his side. I'm looking at this camera, and I should be looking this way. But that's just really smart salesmanship on his part. He came up with a device that's affordable and reliable, and via his unified firmware, and of course. These 3D printers is a new one every month. A couple months ago we wanted the Tevo, and the latest Tevo. And now we have a CR-20, and now we have an Ender Pro, and so who knows? I guess what frustrates me as someone that's always been in customer service, whether it be in the IT world or I've also worked in the appliance world where I'm selling, multi-$1,000 appliances for people that are building houses. I did that years ago, and I just can't imagine telling someone, by the way, yeah, here's your $3,000 refrigerator, and if it has issues, well, just take it apart and put a new pump in. I could never get away with that. But you buy a $200 to $300 printer and it has problems out of the box, and people just say, suck it up, fix it. And again, we're kind of going full circle back into the whole, what we expect here in America or elsewhere. Western, can I say the western part of the planet? What we expect for decent customer service is way different than what they're offering in the Far East. No ride for free. Absolutely. Yep. Z1, you're exactly right. I think one area that it's a real drag is I wish Facebook would fix this is their file areas. And when you have these Facebook groups, like the CR10 one is huge. There's, you know, I think there's maybe 20,000, 30,000 people in there. I've lost track. But a lot of people will upload, you know, Simplify3D profiles, Cura profiles for various materials. But when you go into the file section, there's no way to search that. You know, you just scroll through this list and you assume it's the newest version first. And and not only that, like for example, if I wanted to tell you guys, hey, Robbie, Keith, hey, I saw this Facebook post here, take a look at it. Well, how do you link a Facebook post? It's one thing if it's on a web form, you know, I mean, like we're used to using, or a support form from the manufacturer, like for example, the Ultimaker forms. But with Facebook, you don't have that ability. I mean, how many times have you guys seen a post on Facebook and then a couple days later thought, oh wait, someone else had that problem with their CR10, and you have to go struggle and dig and dig and dig. It's hard to find. So while we talk about that, and we mentioned it, you know, the Zil Tech. So that gentleman that helped Keith and myself and a few others here help get the Zil Tech up and going with the firmware, and mentioned that you know, supposedly Zil Tech has supposedly this gentleman spoke on my behalf and said this guy definitely has a bum A10. You need to give him these parts. And supposedly they said, sure, no problem, we'll get those to you. So when I followed up, they don't know what I'm talking about. So will we get any more information from Zil Tech? Will we get any more help from them? I don't know. Yeah, Facebook groups is the nice thing is if you're, for example, like what I posted earlier today, I was having problems with this profile that I've been working on, and I immediately got a lot of responses. That's great. That's the beauty of Facebook. Everybody's there. There's 2 billion users. But I really miss the web forums, you know, the web-based forums where, you know, people would have discussion boards or whatever you want to call it. And I have one, and it just doesn't get as much use as it has because everyone's on social media. Yep. I think the gentleman that we had on here, I thought his name was Scott. Do you remember, Keith? He really knew his stuff. What are you doing? Yeah, it was SR something, as I recall. The other thing I ran into with Zil Tech is, you know, when I was trying to get some support for some stuff, you know, I kept on getting friend requests from them. You don't need to be my Facebook friend to answer my question about your printer. Ugh, drove me crazy. What are you doing? The cat is crazy tonight. You know, for the last year or two, people have been telling us, you know, don't accept friend requests from people you don't know. There's a lot of fake profiles out there. And these guys, to answer my question over a $200 printer, want to be my friend or they won't answer me. What the hell? What kind of crazy world do we live in? Scott or Steve, or yeah, I can't remember. Terrible to get old. All right. So, little bit of stringing action going on in my PLA here, but as I get this support stuff off. Boy, that's the beauty of that came off nice. Some of these other support structures, I don't know if they'll ever come out, but well, sounds like it's gonna. Yeah, it looks familiar. I bet it is. Now the joys of removing supports. See, if you ever wanted a sales pitch for a Simplify3D, look how nice these pieces came out. Now, of course, my question is, will a zip tie ever come in and out of there? I don't know. I probably should have said no to support for the part where the belt goes through. I don't think that support's ever going to come out. I see a reprint in my future. That's my only really big gripe with Cura, because lately they're using this plugin manager, and I am not a fan of it one bit. My cat sees me playing with stuff and is like, "Ooh, is that for me?" Oh, that actually came right out. I am curious if the zip ties will actually go through these channels. And I might have to reprint this without supports under these belt tensioners. Oh, actually it popped right out. How about that? That's why it's good to have a set of tweezers that you aren't afraid of killing. Wow, that's impressive. Let's get the okay, so here's the test here. So we got the zip tie, and we got back here. I don't know how good the light is going to be, but this is get the light there. So this is where the bearing would sit, and I wonder. Oh, look at that! It printed it so well that I can push that right through. I'll just get a bigger hammer. I sense sarcasm, and it's only because you sprinkled it on so thick. No, S3D, there's a couple of things about Simplify3 that I like, and there's a couple of things I don't like. And there's one thing that I wish it had that Cura has, and while I'm thinking of that, I will share that with you. And for all I know, you guys are going to say, no, Paul, there's already a way to do that. So let's see if I can find it here for you. The gyroid infill, yeah, the Cura has that now. Okay, so let's look at what did I just print? Oh, let's go back. All right, let me show you one of the things that Cura does really well that I like. I hate that I have to hit the middle button to move this around. All right, so this is what we just printed out. And one of the things that I like that this program does is if I click on the model and if I want to rotate this model, I can do so right here and look at the bottom. It tells me -30. So if I want to move this so it's facing me or doing basically a 90-degree turn, it tells me. Okay. Now in Simplify3D, okay, I can have my model, okay, and I can click this guy here, but I got no idea what the degrees are. I don't see anywhere where it's reading off the degrees. Now the only potential, only other thing I could think of that might be useful is that, oh, can I use it in conjunction with this? No, I can't. Because my thought for a long time was when you double click this guy, you can see your rotation, and of course, you know, I can cue it in there and it'll do it, but it's one of those conveniences that I like. And then if I hit this, I can go back to Cura here. So, and I wish Cura would get rid of this shine. You know, I suppose I can, because I have Ultimaker filament loaded, I suppose I can go with a different color. I want to keep my settings, but you know, why does it have to be so shiny? The other thing that took me a long time to get the hang of with some of these models in Simplify3D is getting them to lay flat on the bed. You know, what I didn't realize is that, you know, if I could go under Edit and place surface on bed, okay, and then I can tell it what surface, and then I'll flip it over. So, is it a big deal? I don't know, but just sharing with you some of the pros and cons of each. Double mash it and see degrees in Z rotation. Oh, flash, yeah, okay. Now the slicer. Yeah, the corner of a ZC. Yeah, I still, you know, this one, let me, where's my dog? Where's my dog print? Here it is. So while we're looking at Simplify3D, and I'm with a bunch of experts, so I got the first layer to look really good. And this is our Caleb Powell camera. Now, problem is, here's how the top layer came out. How in the world can I fix this? Suggestions? Hey JDC, okay, check you later. Well, S3D won't directly upload to it. What I wind up having to do when I go to prepare to print, like for example, let's say I'm going to print this guy out, what I do is I save toolpath to disk, and then what I do is I have a folder. Let me go over here so you can see. What I have is I have made a subdirectory called GTEC A10 Octoprint, and so what I'll do is I save it there, and then what I do is in Octoprint, I don't have Octoprint loaded up on this one right here, do I? Nope. But what I do is when I upload, I just upload from that folder. So that's how I get around that. Fix it with fire. Yeah, well, it's only this print though. I mean, I do have a little bit of artifacts, or I don't know if that's under extrusion or what I would call that. It's hard to tell. It could just be the material, but I do have some interesting little, funky little, let me get the light on that, zigzag, and see how this top here, maybe it would have been better with support. I don't know why it's so wispy, but sometimes that happens with Ultimaker PLA. And actually, I do have some new filament from, what is it, IC3D, I think? Yeah, IC3D. I've been eager to try out, so I may do that. But look at that top surface. So I mean, and this was using Simplify3D, and that top surface looks really, really good. So I'm trying to figure out where all these things go in the model. So I'm guessing this back piece here gives me my BL touch or whatever. Yeah, and that's a little, maybe I should have put some supports on that too. Hard to say. Well, what will be interesting now is, now that I have Cura sorted out here because I couldn't get it to slice earlier, is what I could do is, just to compare, and maybe we'll kick off a live stream tomorrow there, I can do the same model again, and I'll do it in Cura, and we'll see how it does. I know its supports aren't going to be anywhere near as easily removable. Let's see, what are we talking about? Are we talking about the little dog print, or? Because this would be issue. No, actually, they said in the link you sent me, he does recommend supports. Yeah. No, the only time I put supports was on the bottom here, and I probably didn't need them. Maybe this evening, before I call it a night, I'll fire up Cura here. And what we can do, let's go over here. So I printed it at, I want to print it at 0.15. I usually make my wall thickness 1.2, which is 3. See, they added the wall count now, so I like 3. Top layers 8, bottom layers 8. I just left those alone by default. 20% infill is pretty standard. Infill, let's see, well, we have our new guy right here, so we can use that. Yeah, we want retraction. Speed is fine. This is the not on skin on the travel, otherwise you wind up with the kind of some ugly stuff. Avoid printed parts or traveling. I do the Z-hop. And this is what I hate. I hate having to weed through this stuff here to find out. See, I want to find out what the Z-hop height is, but here we go. Come back. Okay, so it's 1 millimeter. Okay, I'm fine with that. Try the dog and Cura. I hear you, but that doesn't fix. I'm trying to fix the Simplify3D profile, so because I don't have the G-Tech A10 set up in Cura. Quite frankly, I don't know how to. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I can just copy the settings from Simplify3D as best I can in here, but that's not the point. So right now, this is support. Let's turn off. Okay, skirt line count. I always do 4 just to make sure my bed leveling looks good. And I'd like you to be at least 5 millimeters away. You shouldn't need supports. Okay. And the other one I was looking at is whether to use. This one's always a controversial one, and coasting. Do we want coasting or not? What's the pros and cons? I've always just checked it on. I've let it do it. can tell, a cat has been on my desk. All my metric screws are on the floor. Yeah. I mean, I got tons of filament, so I'm just curious quality-wise. You know, I used basically the default Simplify3D profile. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Ultimaker's Cura does on this, using roughly the same, 1.5 resolution. That ghosting. Nice. So that's so that guy is pretty much set to go. Let me get the SD card out. Losing track of all my SD cards. Okay, here we go. Howard detected it. All right, so let's prepare. All right, save to remove a drive. All right, I do like that option right there where it asks you to eject the drive. I wish S3D did that. Alright, so that has been set to go. Let's get my mouse back over here and get the rubbing alcohol. We'll do a quick rub dub on the bed, even though it's glass. And given how well it was bonding on the last print, I don't think I need to hit it with hairspray. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I understand what coasting does. I've just never, does it, does it make a big difference or not? So, but you're right. Whether that filament is drippy or not. Oh, he found his plastic ball toy again. Sorry for the background noise. Theodore, for whatever reason, this cat is all about me tonight. Joy. Oh, let's see, 11:42. Wow. Yeah, you know what? I just looked that up too a second ago on the other monitor. Yeah, you're right. The coasting is like 0.2 millimeters. So we'll see what happens. I can throw this stuff away. And it'll be interesting to compare the results from Cura versus the Simplify3D one. We already know the supports from Cura were going to be awful. And like I said, that black filament I got tons of it, so we can burn that off. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering, what in the world am I watching? My name is Paul. This is my channel where nerdy is cool. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you are a relatively new viewer and have never seen me before, hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a regular viewer. This is the kind of stuff we do. We talk about 3D printers, props, R2 building, BB-8 building, lots of 3D printer stuff. And right now we're debating the merits of Cura and Simplify3D. And we go off topic a lot, so by all means, throw some chat in there. And if you have any questions or topics you want comments on, chime in. I learn a lot from you guys. Oh, I can hear a fan running, so this thing is close to getting ready to go. And away we go. Always have the tweezer ready for that first ball of filament. There you go. have to remove any of it. Alright, so it was a brand new install of Cura on a new PC, so most of the settings are default. So fingers crossed, and hope it goes well. Let's take a peek here. Yep, the filament is feeding well. I try to encourage laziness. That's great. Yeah, direct drive. Yeah, well, Keith was talking about direct drive, you know, like with the E3D and having a BMG on top. You know, he has the PETSFang set up. But man, just finding the directions and how that works, that's been one of my struggles. I've got all kinds of PETSFang prints, but putting it together, yeah, it's a bit of a mystery still. Wow, Cura is just flying along here. I had it running at 40 millimeters a second on the Simplify3D profile, and I left it on defaults here on Cura, which looks like it's 50 millimeters a second, so here we go. Default of your own, exactly. Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that setup. That seems to be really popular. Maybe I'm being a little dense here, trying to figure out how it all goes together. The other thing that's interesting is, you know, I'm a big fan of the Micro Swiss and of course the Titan Aero. I have a bunch of E3D 24 volt and 12 volt hot ends. So if I wanted to use those, I could, but I'm not sure which extruder is the right match for those guys. So I think the Titan, like for example, like the Tevo has, is very, very good. But so I have the hot ends. I'm just not sure the right extruder to use for these guys. Yeah, this guy here, yeah. I got a bunch of these, and Keith is a real fan of the PETSFang. What have I got printed already? Yeah, as you can see, let me. I got a couple of these guys that I've printed and got pretty okay results. This is actually using the Polyalchemy Elixir filament, and yeah, this came out pretty good. And I think this is the one for the Tevo Tornado. I can't remember. The Polyalchemy Elixir filament, of all things, I was watching the various strength tests, and it came out the best. Strength-wise, out of all the PLAs that I've seen out there outside of the specialties. But yeah, I can't remember which one this goes to, but it fit the fan very nicely. But trying to figure out the mount, I want to say my thought was on the CR-10 was to put an E3D V6 in that one, and then use the PETSFang mount for that. But I wasn't sure whether I wanted to use, what was my thinking on that one? I think with the E3D V6, there's a 3D printed mount, or there's an aluminum one, and I think I have the aluminum one. Yeah, that's what it was. So I have the E3D V6, and I got several of those, and it was a matter, then I have one of those eBay aluminum CNC mounts. So it was a matter of trying to find the right part fan cooling solution that would work with that hot end mount. There we go. See, that's the problem. You follow all these threads here, and you're trying to put the best pieces of various things together to work together. So I knew the PETSFang was really good. I knew that the aluminum E3D mount was really good. So now it's trying to get all those guys to work together that I haven't done yet. But then the thing that we're stuck with now is, okay, so we have hot end, so we have mount, we have PET's fang. Now we're back to the, okay, well, what do we do with the extruder? Now, you had mentioned the use of different mounts. Yeah. So then the big question becomes, okay, so if we're going to use the PET's fang, and if we're going to use the E3D V6, and if we're going to use that aluminum mount, okay, now you're talking about the BMG extruder. How do we mount that in there? Because last week, hello, hey, that's a long username, but I like the fact that we got a swimming corgi. Hello, thanks and welcome. If you were in the chat, even better. So I saw the PET's fang on Thingiverse for the direct drive, and it said go to his website for the installation instructions, but there's no installation instructions for the BMG E3D V6 combo on his Thingiverse. So, see where I mean? And you hate to complain because these people are offering these designs for free, you know, and they're sharing their knowledge. But when they don't clearly list the instructions, it's like you got me 90% there. Now I need that last 10%. I've been really impressed with the Titan Aero. I mean, the fact that you have the extruder and the hot end built in together, winds up being a little bit shorter than using an E3D V6, and it's direct drive. It's really cool, and that's why I'm really excited about doing the same thing with the i3 we have over there. So I'm hoping I've explained, especially to you, Keith, because I know we've been corresponding back and forth about the best way to do these things. And it'll be a great live stream once we have all the parts and pieces together. So, because I have the E3D V6s that I bought. TH3D has sent me a couple of their, what does he call them? Tough ends? So I got a couple of those. Unpaid 2-week vacation. Well, I'll tell you what, TrueCheck, I don't usually do this publicly, but I am going to pay for you to go on an expensive vacation at my expense, okay? I will send you to Disney World from February 29th to February 31st. How's that? I've seen that Facebook post multiple times this week. Handful of people fall for it. What? I'm like, wait a minute, how many days are in February again? Scores! Exactly. Yeah, Tim does. As a matter of fact, I think this was one of the STL mounts that came, I want to say, I'm trying to think where all these parts go. Because this thing is supposed to go somewhere. And then this is supposed to go on the side of something over here, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I've printed so many things, I've lost track of what goes where. And I got to be honest with you, something like this, these part ducts here at all these really weird turns. I know I'm going to sound like a heretic here, especially with all these printers, but these are the kind of things I would love to print on a Form 2. Because you can get those nice smooth corners and everything else, and of course SLA. Hello NRC. How do I calibrate my CR-10S extruder? Well, we did that just last week. I've been trying to get that free vacation. You know, I'm up here in rural Maine, you know, so I always tell people, hey, well, I tell you what, you know, I'll be happy to have you come up here, but it's up here in the dead of winter, and unless you are really big into the whole, I don't know, freezing, Hoth, Tauntauns, AT-ATs, it's really not a whole lot of fun to be up here this time of year. It's not working with X-Acto knives. Yeah, there is a rural Maine, basically everything north of Portland, our largest city. Yeah, actually, oh, is there an urban Maine? Yeah, very good. Yeah, Portland, that's about it. Yeah, so I got all these pieces here, and I don't know, I guess Keith and I will have to keep on chatting here and see what we want to do. Like I said, I really want to do the Titan Aero on that one, but on the other CR10 I have sitting over here, or even the Tevo Tornado. The Tevo Tornado would be a great customer for either a E3D V6 upgrade or what have you, because I mean it's identical to the CR10. It's just 24 volt. PT3D is, yeah. I haven't seen him on here. He is about 35 miles away from me. Yeah. No, I am across the river from Bangor. I live in Orrington, and so I'm right across the river. And Clyde is down in Ellsworth, and I haven't seen him lately. I know he's been job hunting and stuff like that, but I haven't talked to him since before the holidays. Yeah, I know he's got a couple printers, and he's got a couple that like to fight him, just like mine. Nice guy. Yeah, I want to say I last chatted with him on Facebook. God, maybe a week ago. Yeah, I hadn't heard. I knew he had. He asked me if some places were looking, and I know he applied to a few places. But yeah, I felt bad for the guy, losing his position. Yeah, Stephen King territory. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I've met. Caleb, you going to bed already? What is this? Yeah, Stephen King is a whole bunch of special. Yeah, there are some things about him I like, and there are some things when he goes off on his rant on politics, I just okay. A friend of mine worked at his radio station, and he worked the overnight shift, and he was annoyed that Mr. King was very much about everyone should, big business is the enemy. They should be paying more in taxes, blah, blah, blah. The minimum wage, people should be making more money. And I want to say he was paying his staff minimum wage. So the same guy who's talking trash about employers not paying their people enough money, he's one of them. So, but anyway, like I said, he's an author. He's a creative mind. And yeah, he's very good at that. But when it comes to his political views or whatever, well, I view him as an entertainer. I don't take him too seriously on that. Good night, Caleb. Yeah, he got hit by a car in Lewiston. He has a house down there. That was maybe 10 years ago, maybe more. He got hit by a van, and he basically said that he knew he was in trouble because he got hit so hard he could see his ass. was basically the way he put it. Yeah, I've printed so much fun, so many things over there for that Pets Fang that I'm not sure if I've done it right or not. Must have been a Dodge van. So this is printing. It looks like it's going pretty well. I don't see any spaghetti string going on. Oh, that reminds me. I was going to share this with you. My friend has been working on this. What is that domain? I wanted to share that with you guys because some of you guys might really like this. Okay, what's the URL? No, that's not right. Oh man, the gentleman that does Octoprint Anywhere. Good friend of mine. I can't remember the domain name he gave me. Maybe it's not up yet. Maybe that's why. Or I spelled it wrong? Perhaps? Oh, I gotta look it up on my phone now. Crap. I knew he was looking for beta testers, and I asked him if he wanted me to ask you guys. And it's Kenneth who wrote Octoprint Anywhere, which is a plugin that we use here. Maybe I wrote down the domain name wrong. Looking real quick for you guys. I got all these Octoprint Anywhere messages telling me my print completed. Nuts. I can't find the darn thing. Maybe it's here? Okay, he's removed the video, so he's still editing it. Okay. So Daniel from Octoprint Anywhere is working with another gentleman, and I'll share the link and video. He asked me to do the voiceover for it. I didn't think my voice was that wonderful and velvety smooth, but he likes it, so he asked me if I could do the voiceover for the video describing what the product is. And essentially what they are working on is a program that via the webcam feed is, as it's watching the print, if it starts detecting, you know, you're getting all that filament floss or spaghetti print, what it'll do is they have an algorithm that detects that in the photograph or the picture's coming off the webcam, and it will notify you that, hey, your print's screwing up, your print's failing, do you want me to abort? And so anyway, that's what Kenneth has been working on, and he asked me to do the voiceover last week, and I still had that head cold, so I did 4 recordings. I did it with various surround microphones, and every time I played it back, you know, when you hear your own voice, how you hear your voice in your inner ear is one thing. How you hear it when you play back a video is completely different. Frankly, I think my voice sounds like Linus from Peanuts, you know, Charlie Brown and all that. But he liked it. So as soon as I get the go-ahead from him, I will share that with you guys, because I think they're looking for beta testers. But I think they're early in the programming and development of the idea they came up with. I had enough coats and it'll look velvety smooth. I'm sorry, NRC, you asked a good question about the extruder calibration. The equation. Well, come on, let's not be snarky, guys. Let's help them out. NRC, actually the easiest thing you can do is, if you look at my videos, the one that I did, geez, actually we did it when we did a live stream video on the hookup for this new extruder. I'm pointing as if you can see it. If you play back that video, and if you scroll through, you'll see that we calibrated the extruder in that video, and oh, where does it here? The equation that you're looking for is, it's your current E steps, multiply that by 100, assuming that you're going to extrude 100 millimeter of filament, for example, and then divide that by the measurement of how much came out. He must be too busy influencing to join. Did I miss something? Yeah, because the equation, like I said, what I had, yeah, because the E-step equation I had was basically, yeah, current E-steps times 100, and then divided by what you got. Oh, okay. Well, I try really hard to keep up with the stream because sometimes I'll be talking about something because someone will say something shiny and I'll go squirrel and go off on my merry tangent. And then I'll look over and something else is going on. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. When did I miss that? But, so yeah, you guys have given me, let me see. So a couple of things from my to-do list. I need to talk to Zil Tech, or Zil Tech, about the Hypercube 500. I should probably drop Clyde a phone call and see how he's doing. We scrolled off on tangents. Well, that's what makes these streams fun. It's funny because sometimes, you know, at a slow day at work, you know, during my lunch or whatever, I'll look through these live streams, and I'm curious about the video quality, you know, how well I'm keeping up with the chat. I'm one of those introspective guys. I want to make sure that what I'm doing, what I'm presenting, I want to make sure I'm paying attention to you guys. And if you ask a question, I want to make sure I'm answering it. You know, I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job with the stream. So yeah, it's been kind of interesting to watch these and see that, hey, I have been keeping up, and the quality of the video is pretty decent. Zimmy. Hi, Zimmy. As we crawl past midnight here, I just wanted to give a hello. If you're not a regular subscriber, if you've never seen me before, hello, my name is Paul. This is my channel where nerdy is cool. I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up down below. And if you're not already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss my cool videos, live streams. We chat like this all the time. And we do a lot of live stream builds, and I also create a lot of content as far as, you know, how to do things. Octoprint, getting the printer hooked up to your computer, and here and there I give reviews if I feel like I have enough of an opinion to give one. So, welcome aboard. So what we got going on right now is we've been kind of talking about everything under the sun here, just kind of a Saturday night hangout. One of the things I was showing off is in our recent video, we have the CR-10S over here, and I installed the SeeMeCNC EZR Struder because my stock extruder was having issues. I just put up with it since I had the printer for a year, but over a couple prints over the last couple weeks, I was seeing some real spells of under extrusion. They'd clear up, but they were still happening, and it's really kind of a drag. And I've done a couple test prints since then, since we've installed the EZR Struder. Actually, we installed it last weekend. The install was pretty easy. The instructions were a little vague, but you know, when you only have so many pieces and parts, you figure it out. So this was the test print that we started and finished after the live stream. And let me see if I can get him in a good spot here. Come on, I was saying nice things about focusing. Maybe I got too much light on you. Here we go. There it was. See how nice that came up? And no a little bit of a Z seam there. This was from Simplify3D, so I haven't quite nailed that down. And this was the benchy I did, and benchies are always problematic. You always have something going wrong with benchies. I don't care who you are or what you say. But this one came out really, oh come on, give me some focus. There it is. See, no under extrusion at all. And you know, the bottom came out great. thanks to the Easy ABL. And even the deck came out great. No, it's not Hello Kitty. It's the Good Luck Cat. It's one of those Japanese ones. And all that noise you're hearing in the background, the Ultimaker in the background is printing a Prusa style X carriage for, I have the FolgerTech i3 Mega, which is basically a large scale version of the Prusa i3. And what we want to do is, we did one print today. We did this on Simplify3D, and it came out pretty good. No real complaints. Just want to see if the version I get out of Cura is any better. Got a little bit of some spots there that could be a little better, but I think, as everyone mentioned, I don't think these are showstoppers. But anyway, I just this is what Simplify3D did, and I want to see what Cura did. The laptop that you're watching, that's doing all the work for the live stream here. This is a new laptop. It's a Lenovo P72, and our previous laptop that did live streams struggled. It really did. It was always running at 40, 45, 50% CPU load. Whereas this tank, running an Intel i7-8850 processor, we're dealing with 6 cores, tons of RAM, a solid-state hard drive, and what's really cool is the onboard video is a NVIDIA Quadro P600, 4 GB RAM. And what that means in English is that all the encoding for the video is going through that Quadro. So it's a whole lot less load for the processor to run. And right now, as I speak and I look over, the computer is running at 12% CPU load and 0 drop frames. So take that, nerdiness. The cat isn't headless. Exactly. Yes. This is this one I got on Thingiverse, but you are correct. For a lot of people, when they bought their first CR10, the default G code that was on that SD card was problematic, and a lot of people, their first print included a cat without a head. Good catch. That's funny. I was surprised that I really had to dig through the list here to find, you know, the Good Luck Cat. I thought that thing would be everywhere, but when I went through on Thingiverse, which is running woefully slow. Oh, by the way, if you're not a subscriber to Uncle Jesse, he has a fantastic channel, and he actually posted a video, I think it was on Friday, discussing an add-on that you can do to your web browser. What's happening is they're running a lot of analytics on Thingiverse, and I don't know if it's Google Analytics or something else, but one of them is a real heavy hitter as far as load. And if you use this add-on that Uncle Jesse suggests, he shows you how to go through and toggle off, I think it's PR something, and you can block that, and you'll quickly notice that your load times on Thingiverse will return to what they used to be. Yeah, this is the dog that came on my G-Tech, and he came out pretty good. But so yeah, if you're new and you're seeing all these printers all around me, the one over my shoulder right there is a G-Tech A10. It has really been a not a fun experience. Oh, okay. Well, doesn't is it Prusa that has the pug? Where'd my Prusa guy go? That was Caleb. Well, actually, Keith has a Prusa on order, so Keith will also be probably having that on his SD card. Oh, is it U-Block? Was that what he mentioned? To me, one of a real challenging print, especially without support. And again, yeah, you guys know obviously I'm a cat guy because I got a couple cats. But this is on Thingiverse. It's you know, it's just it's just a kitten model, and I think that's what it's called on Thingiverse, come to think of it. But this guy prints super well. I don't know why I'm having such trouble. It's because of where the light is. But there we go. You know, it's got these little fur tufts here that kind of flare out, and you could use support, but without, I mean, it's a really great print. I made a bunch of these. I got a friend of mine, she's got a 3-year-old, and she loves cats, and I posted a picture on Facebook, and she's like, oh, if you ever print more, she would love to, you know, dress up in her little paint suit and paint them. Like, no problem. So I printed 4 or 5 in white filament, and a couple days later, I got a cute video of the 3-year-old, you know, painting away. And that, to me, where it's at. That's a lot of fun. Zimmy, I guess you're a little bit new, so pardon the background. I have a Stormtrooper suit. I'm building a BB-8, so I got BB-8 parts over here. I got my BB-8 frame and accessories sitting here, waiting for me to print more pieces. So, if you're wondering what you got yourself into, welcome aboard. Yeah, printing in multiple colors. I had some Ultimaker 3s here on loan for about 4 months, and I gotta tell you, I really, the way the Ultimaker 3, having those dedicated nozzles for different colors, it's quite nice. I still have a lot of the test prints I did back when I had it. This literally took a day and a half, but this came out extremely well. So, what was amazing was watching it, you know, go back and forth, you know, from one side, and what it does is it raises and lowers, you know, one of the extruders to change colors, and it's very slow. I mean, it's a slow process, but it's freaking amazing. And I mean, you can still see up close. I didn't have all the settings, you know, quite right. I'm trying to get this to. Maybe my investment was spent poorly. I don't know. What's happening is there's a lot of lights that reflects off all this glossy stuff, but. So you can see, you know, it's not the perfect print as you can see close up, but you know, this all up front here just looks amazing. But it looks real. I mean, people grab this thing and go, whoa. And it's actually, I scaled it down for time, so it doesn't quite fit in your hand. So I scaled it down to 80%. I don't know why I didn't just do 100%. I mean, what's the difference? If I'm printing for 3 days, what's one more day? But yeah, one of my favorite prints. And still, like I said, if I had the money, I would certainly have Ultimaker 3s or even the big one, the 5S. I really like their stuff. But then again, you know, if we're comparing 3D printers to cars, you know, I'm sitting here next to a Kia, the CR-10S here. And these Ultimakers are easily, you know, the Volvo and Saabs of the line, you know. So I guess that's what's kind of happened to me is, you know, as I got into 3D printing via Ultimaker Original, Ultimaker 2, and then upgrading the Ultimaker 2 Plus, you know, I started with expensive printers. And I was very spoiled because with the Ultimaker 2, you take it out of the box, you plug it in, you go to Cura, you select Ultimaker 2, you export onto SD card, you load it on the machine, and you print, and all the hard work is done for you. Then we got into the world of Tevo Tornadoes and CR-10s where, well, the extruder doesn't seem to be right. So now we have to figure out the E steps. Well, we're having problems with the hot end. Well, we got a problem with the bed surface not level. So, you know, it's, I drive a Kia. Well, you know, of course, no matter what I picked, someone would have had it. And people still ask me, you know, if they, you know, hey, look, if, you know, money wasn't a factor, what would be the best 3D printer for a first-time user. And I still say the Ultimaker 2s. I had someone pose a question saying, hey, we're looking at possibly getting a grant and getting some 3D printers in the classroom, you know, maybe a half dozen. We were looking at Tevo Tornadoes and stuff like that. What do you think of that? And I said, you know, go with the Ultimakers. You know, Ultimaker, you know, Raise 3D, you know, or Lulzbot, or, you know, those guys, you know, the Taz 6, what have you, depending on what size they need. But I don't know, I had a really good experience via Ultimaker. It's kind of like when you want to have that first computer, you know. You go buy a Mac, you build your own, you get an HP, you get a Lenovo, you know. The Delta kit from hell, yeah. ANET A6, yeah. I just really feel bad for people getting into this new right now, because there's a lot of people that, for example, I pick on G-Tech because they suck. I see a lot of people saying, hey, I just got a G-Tech A10 and the extruder's making noises and it's printing weird and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's my first printer, and rather than people in that G-Tech Facebook group helping him, they're flaming him. They're like, well, you know, what do you expect for $200? You know, they're just totally downing the guy. You know, it's like all these personal attacks on the guy. How dare you bother us with your complaints? And it's just, and that's one of those Facebook groups that's really toxic, you know. Unless you have something positive to say about how awesome their printers are, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear any complaints. Commodore 128. I got you beat there. I started with the Commodore 64. Commodore 128. That was a nice upgrade. Yeah. And then back in the day, I had a what did I have? I had a Tandy TR. No, well, I had a TRS-80, but I also had the 386 there. T1000, that's what it was. I had my 16 colors and loved them. Well, and TrueTech, you know, I enjoy your sense of humor, but I mean, you really nailed it. I mean, I was reading in a post the other day where they were defending G-Tech, and there was another brand out there they were defending, saying, you know, the reason why you get these printers so cheap is because they don't have quality control, and if they did have quality control, they'd cost more money, so you shouldn't complain. And it's just like, who says that? Who believes that? That's like the guy that, you know, oh, sorry, got one, yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't make 3D printers. If I was going to make one, people wouldn't like the price, because I would insist on certain features. I would insist on quality control. I would insist on test prints. That's why I like again, you know, I may as well be wearing an Ultimaker sweatshirt here someday. At least when you get that printer, you have a test print showing that, hey, your printer did this and we know it works and it's A-OK. The Prusas. When you get a Prusa printer, you open it up, there's an actual printout showing where they test out all the electronics, and here's a pass, so it has this inspected by and all that. Well, yeah, all printers are a good teaching toy, but it also depends on how much learning you want to do. I learned there's no quality control at G-Tech. I learned if you point out a problem, they don't want to hear it. I've done a lot of learning. Oh, Gateway 2000. I remember those 486s. Yeah, I remember my brother bought one of those and thought that was the greatest thing ever. When I first started out in IT in the early 90s, I remember the first printers first PCs I was working on or putting together, you know, motherboard and the whole works, were 386 you know, SX25s, and then we got into the world of 486. And of course, to save money, they went without the coprocessor, so they had the 486SX. If you had the math coprocessor, it was the 486DX. So the popular one there was the DX266, all that. And then Pentium came out. The Pentium 60 had the math flaw. Even though the chances of people ever encountering the flaw they found, they, you know, because they were sued, they replaced all those processors, and I think it was Compaq hired the company I worked for, and we went over and we replaced, oh, I don't know, half dozen CPUs. I'm amazed that that water cooling has become as standard as it is. Back in the day, there were people that were trying to do the liquid cooling, and oh my God, they just bring a leak and fry. Or people, you know, they were using tap water, or they weren't using distilled water, so they'd wind up with a tremendous amount of algae growth on the brass. I just, wow. I sound old. Been around a while. Yeah, I had a, one of the servers I had was a Pentium Pro 200 and a big giant processor, and then they came out with an overdrive processor to replace that. But that was one of the first big server motherboards that you could have 2 sockets for 2 of those processors. I don't even know if I still have that chip, but that thing was a monster back in the day. I think I threw it away. Let me check. Yep, that old computer's gone. I remember I pulled the CPU and sold it for the gold. Copper mine technology, yeah, boy. I feel like I'm reminiscing with a bunch of old IT guys over here. Woohoo! Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I can't remember the not Murphy's Law, but it was someone's law that, you know, that this technology, you know, every 18 months or so, you know, it just doubles. But it's interesting how they really haven't been able to get past 4 gigahertz, you know, due to the temps and the cooling required, you know. Back a couple years ago, you know, we went from, you know, 1 core to now duo core. Now the multiple core processing is where it's at now. You know, we haven't really gained much on speeds, but we do have faster memory, faster pipeline, so the processor can do more, and of course having more data allows it to use all those additional processors. But, you know, it wasn't that long ago where, you know, if you had depending on the software you ran, most software wouldn't take advantage of those additional processors. Yeah, all the cores, yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was getting into the world of Visual Basic 6 and VB.NET and .NET programming in general, and yeah. Huh, interesting. Well, what's neat about, you mentioned electric there, and of course I'm going to go squirrel on you, but, you know, it used to be, you know, if you lived up in a northern climate and had solar panels, you were just wasting your money. There's just no way. But now the technology on these panels has gotten to the point where, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot of sun to generate a fair amount of, you know, amperage, or voltage and amperage rather. Because it used to be like up here in Maine, you know, for someone to have solar panels, you just, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Half the year they're under snow. But no, the tech has improved, and it used to be you needed a whole lot of inverters and power conversion, and there was such a loss in that it wasn't worth it. But I got a friend of mine, he's got 20 panels on his house, and he doesn't have a bill. Of course, it takes quite a while there to you know, recoup that money, but I want to say the last time he bought panels, they were $300 or $400 each. And of course, you know, it's all going right on the grid, so if he loses power on the grid, he goes down like the rest of us. But his meter is turning the other way, so And he's like me. He has a lot of hobbies and a lot of gizmos and gadgets in the basement. So he likes to tell people that he's never met a kilowatt he didn't like. Yeah, well, our power rates are going up as well too, and since I can't find a reasonable price for plutonium to make my own reactor, I would much rather. I'd like to have a bunch of panels and like a Tesla power wall or something like that. Oh, you're a solar engineer? Wow. There's a lot of, there's a guy that keeps on coming up on YouTube stream, but there's a guy that recently, it took him, I guess, a year going back and forth with Tesla to finally, get his power wall hooked up, and he lives in Southern California, and so heavy air conditioning use, and he's generating power, and even when he does a lot of live streams or IT stuff, he's still finding that the battery carries him over. It's kind of ironic because where I live, when they raised the rates, I can't remember what we're paying now. Well, we were 0.079 or I guess something like that. I can't, plus the transmission fees. But I replaced all the lights with LED lights, and I saw the power bill drop. And sure enough, they raised the rates the following month, and yeah, that was a wash. Oh, you saw the video? Yeah, Jimmy, I can't remember his name. There was one gentleman who's in Arizona, and he's got a Tesla power wall and some other stuff, and he really did a really good job researching, air conditioners that would work with a certain voltage you can generate, and it's really amazing. And I'm just one of those guys where, first of all, obviously I'm very nerdy, and I hate paying the power bill, and if I can get tax credits or whatever, even better. But yeah, maybe it's a dream shot, but I get a tremendous amount of sun. The house faces south. The garage faces east, so first thing in the morning, that would get plenty of sun, and then the rest of the day, the front of the house would be able to grab power. So what kind of investment that would require for me to put that many panels up there, and I know there's a backlog on a Tesla power wall or something like that, but 43,000, oh, you're killing me. I was hoping Jake from State Farm was going to say, it's cheaper than you think, Paul. So see what I mean? Like, if you're just tuning in, as I mentioned, hi, I'm Paul from Where Nerdy is Cool. And if you're not a subscriber, hit the button in the corner, become one. This is the kind of stuff we do. We chit chat about tech. It's cheaper than you think? Well, yeah, and like I said, the video I saw, the guy had mentioned that he literally was on back order for a year, to get his Tesla product. So I'd be really curious how that stuff all works, because I'm not a fan of paying the power bill as the lights go dark. No, just kidding. But I've always wanted to have a tech-wise a smart home. I mean, if I'm getting a tremendous amount of sunlight when the sun is out and the weather is pending, I would definitely like to cash in on that. Thank you, Zimmy. Paul's Hardware YouTube channel. Can I write that down? I don't think I'll forget the name, but so hardware. Yeah, my friend Fred is Fred's a genius. I mean, he's got a CNC machine. He's got all these great toys. I mean, he's semi-retired because he's an upholsterer. I mean, he's a very brilliant man, and he just loves tech. And he's had solar panels for a long time. And like I said, he's running one of those situations where he's just always generating power, during the day, and it turns the meter backwards and it generates a huge credit. And then if the power does go out, he has a propane generator, so he's covered there. But you're right. I've heard the cost of doing a full battery backup system can be quite expensive, because depending on how the batteries are conditioned and whether you use them off and on, etc. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm wondering how my Latitude would work, as far as power generation. It very well may not. It may be maybe one of those situations where, okay, you've spent this much money and it'll take 30 years to pay off or whatever. Yeah, one of the guys got hold of, when they decommissioned our nuclear plant back in the late 90s, a couple of people bought the old giant industrial batteries. It's like, holy crap. That print is looking pretty good. I keep wanting to make sure it's doing good. Yeah, this thing is awesome. This is, like I said, I was really impressed how well this came out. And when I had this on display, I had the 3D printers on display at one of the Comic Cons I did, and everyone touched that. Everyone loved it. Yeah, good points, Jake. I'm glad I met you. I wish I could think of the guy. Geez, I can't remember. Maybe Zimmy will think of his name. But yeah, there was a gentleman that just recently had posted, the whole saga that he went through to get his Tesla system hooked up, and the panels he put in, and they had to replace part of the roof. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, solar may not be for me. I may have to hold out for the fusion reactors. And I don't know, MRRF, I don't know when that is this year. Wasn't that springtime? I'd like to. I know last year John Folger and those guys went, and he asked me if I wanted to tag along with them, and I couldn't get the time off from work, so I had to decline. But that would be a really fun time to bring the cameras, get the microphones, and meet some people in person, like the big channels do. Wow, that'd be fun. Actually, one of the things I'm really hoping to be able to do is I definitely want to do more of the flying videos, the whole getting back into aviation. I've been a pilot for 25 years now. Well, no, 27 years. 92 is when I got my license. And getting back in the groove, you got a lot of training you got to do. And I got a bunch of GoPros, so it's fun to bring those along. Is it in, no, it's not in Michigan, is it? I knew it was in the Midwest, but I can't remember where. Yeah, good call on the roof. Yeah, actually, I just redid the roof 6 years ago, so that's out. Well, gentlemen, it is 12:38 a.m., so I've missed Saturday Night Live. No biggie, no loss there. Not the show it used to be, anyway. So look, I thank you guys for watching me. I thank you guys for hanging out, and for those of you that became subscribers, even better. And I appreciate you guys giving me thumbs up and stuff like that. Probably gonna jump back online, do some more video tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm gonna tackle. That Tevo Tornado is looking at me like, put me back together, please. So maybe I'll do that. So that said, I'm gonna wish you guys a good night. I've had a lot of fun chatting with you. It's been fun to show you a couple of things I've been working on. And yeah, till next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay nerdy. Remember, this is where nerdy is cool.